If you've ever done a ticker change in order to scam more people, then you'd be Mullen. That's right, folks. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. But also, Mullen changed its ticker to BINI. So don't get fooled. We know better. We know better because we've seen what Mullen can do. Do not get fooled. Folks, welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's PreMarket Playbook. Today is going to be the Wednesday, July 30th edition. We've got a whole bunch of stuff going on. We've got more big earnings today. We've got a couple of big earnings last night. And then, of course, we have Powell and the FOMC meeting today. So we're going to go ahead and break that all down. We're going to trade prior to the meeting. We'll see what happens from there. Benzinga's pre-market playbook for Wednesday, July 30th starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. I hope you all had a wonderful Tuesday evening, and I hope that you're ready for the day here today because there's a lot of stuff going on. As mentioned, Mullen's changed its ticker to a different ticker, so don't be fooled. We have a whole bunch of real companies that actually have some news that we're going to go ahead and break down. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here today. Billy, good morning. It's great to see you. We'll hit the movers a little bit later here. Nick, good morning. Peter, good morning. Francis, good morning. Paul, locked in. By the way, Billy was first here today. How about that? Paul, good morning. Sun-kissed Yogi, good morning. Charles says, good morning, Ryan. Feeling better, fully back. Let's go, Charles. Rest and relaxation put you back to 100%. I bet you're ready to kill it here today. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're well. EKS, TER, 8.1% earnings beat. They make semi-equipment testers and semiconductors up 0.5% here in the pre-market. Good morning, EKS. Welcome back. Kevin, good morning. Welcome back. It's good to see a day trader. Good morning. Locked in. Zach McCracken, ready to go. Brandy, ready to go. Let's go. Brent is back. Good morning, Brent. Bernhard, welcome back. Producers locked in. Glass half full. Good morning. Cad Monkey, good morning. Quantum, good morning. Brian, good morning. They're so bad they had to change the ticker. Brian, everyone knew what Mullen was. Not many know what BINI is, but we won't be fooled. Good morning, Tyler. Good morning, Larry. Good morning, James. Good morning, Graph. DCL, good morning. Welcome back. The Judge, locked in. Good morning. Pete, back. Good morning. Gene, good morning. Let's see. Tom, good morning. Dan, Robert, and Sassy Butterfly Chick, good morning. It is Listen and Learn story time with our friend Ryan. We're also going to have Tim Melvin on today. See what he has for us. Sal, good morning. It's good to see you again. Paulo, good morning. Ed, good morning. Big Milkshake Trading, good morning. Kerching, locked in, good morning. Rodster, good morning. Good morning, Jim. All right, let's go ahead and break this down. C-Dub, it's great to see you again. Welcome back. Let's take a look at the market. Yassine, locked in, ready to go. Yassine, we can get some rain today. Clouds sure look like it out there. We could use it. Good morning, Joel, asking about Oracle. Let me add that to the list here. I don't have any stories about that, but we can absolutely get to Oracle before the market opens here today. So just sit tight, Joel. We'll figure that out. Let's go ahead and start taking a look at the market here today. We're going to start with SPY. And first of all, I had been telling you for like a week now, or maybe even a little bit longer than that, that it sure seemed like 630 to 640 would be the range where the market is topped out. And well, of course, things could change here. It certainly looks like this is where we've stopped now. Yesterday's candle on the SPY here, a bearish engulfing candle. So it certainly looks like maybe a reversal here. We definitely have a little bit of kind of a sell the news feel on the backs of some of these trade deals, which to me makes sense, especially since we kind of drifted up on very low volume. Kind of a reset of that, whether it's profit taking or just kind of sell the news, that actually should set us up for the next leg higher if we don't break down and have a whole bunch of craziness happen. So looking at the SPY chart here, bearish engulfing candle yesterday, my guess would be a rollover towards the 628 level. I've got the 20-day moving average at 627.94, so I'm just going to call it 628. The reason that I'm paying attention to this right now is because the last time that we kind of drifted back down to the 20, when we tested it, we bounced pretty good. and we had a multiple week run higher here. And if the same thing sets up on SPY, I think that will help with some of our trades. The other thing, if we take a look at this, if we pull back towards this 20-day moving average, we're basically also going to be using this volume shelf as a support level. So it continued. We've been moving up so much. We're so close to the all-time highs. This little bit of a pullback is absolutely nothing to be feared. In fact, I think in the long run, it's going to be healthy. So I guess I would say that I am actually kind of rooting for a pullback here to the 20-day set up and then give us an opportunity to move higher here. We'll see what the Fed decision here does to the market. We'll see what some of these earnings reports do to the market, but that's kind of what I'm looking at here. Otherwise, I would say that your high here is going to be 638.67. That is your all-time high. If we break that, maybe we do test 640. Maybe we even pop above 640. But right now, bearish engulfing candle. We'll see what happens here today and if we roll over. Let's do a quick look at the morning update here. The big economic event here today, it is in fact going to be that rate decision and then the press conference that comes at 2 and 2:30. We also have Eastern. A quick look around the market here. We're about unchanged. Well, we're in the green pretty much everywhere, but NASDAQ's up 0.2, Dow's up 0.03%. That's basically unch. And the S&P futures here up 0.11%. So in the green, but really close to unchanged here. Bitcoin back down 117,500. This is down just about 3/10. Really no big deal there. We do have some IPOs here today. Now, none of these are ones that I'm looking for. I'm still waiting for the Figma IPO. We're not there yet. We have APAD, a Paradise Acquisition Company. This priced at $10 here, and this is going to IPO here today. We also have AMBQ, Ambiq Micro. They priced between 22 and 25. They're going to IPO here today. Again, don't have a read or a lead on any of those. We'll watch how they trade, but I'm not beating down the door in order to buy that. Some initiations to go over here. Rosenblatt getting a buy on Mara and a $20 price target. That stock's currently at 17. Susquehanna had a positive rating here on Boeing with a 270 price target. Boeing here at 227. Boeing actually pulled back yesterday despite being higher in the pre-market. Really kind of closed on the lows. That also has a pretty bearish engulfing candle on its daily chart, but catching an upgrade here from Susquehanna, so we'll see if that changes anything. Ticker SPOT, SPOT, Spotify Technology. This getting a neutral rating from Rosenblatt with a $679 price target. Stock's currently at 622. Corning got a positive from Susquehanna here, $75 price target. That stock is about $62. AMD got a positive here. AMD has been on a massive run. 210 price target. Stock's currently 163. It's down 0.6 today, but AMD really performed well recently. That's been on a huge run. I know a lot of you folks are actually making money off of that, so that's fantastic. Really good stuff on that. Downgrades. The bad news keeps on coming for Novo Nordisk. There we go. A ticker NVO down another 4.25% here today after getting an equal weight from Barclays. Albemarle, which we had talked about here with Anne-Marie, it looked like that was breaking out. That's pulled back here. That getting a sector weight here from KeyBank. No price target on that. Albemarle down here 0.7, almost 0.8 in the pre-market. And then I think there was one more on here. Oh, no, it was earnings. Okay. So we did have GlaxoSmithKline this morning. They're up 0.5 here. And then yesterday we had Starbucks and Visa. We're going to talk about that. But looking ahead, it's really the afternoon session that's going to be important today. ARM, Microsoft, Meta, Lam Research, Robinhood, Allstate. So AEM, Lion's favorite miner here. So there's a lot of stuff happening later today. That's going to be really, really important. And actually, as we're speaking here, looks like the market is pulling. S&P futures down to unchanged. Dow futures have actually flipped red, although very close to unchanged. And NASDAQ, which was up the most, now up just 0.1 as that continues to pull here. I don't think we got any data or anything. There was that was 30 minutes ago. Okay, so it looks like we're getting headlines here. 25% tariff on Canada. The whole Canada thing, I still suspect that we might actually have some movement before the August 1st deadline. But we shall see. All right, let's go ahead and break down some of the news here before we get to Tim Melvin here today and see what he has for us. Good morning to anyone that I missed here. Glass half full, get to the chopper. Ahmed, Reaching Financial Freedom, Jonathan, Adit, Nikhil, Asrar, Florida Yacht Insurance Guy, anyone that I missed here for the morning welcome. Good morning and welcome. All right, let's take a look here at the breakdown. Excuse me. Investors await the Federal Reserve Open Market Committee's decision to keep interest rates steady as anticipated by Wall Street participants as its two-day meeting will end here today. Jerome Powell will address a press conference in the afternoon, which will give investors more insight into what they can expect in the September FOMC decision. That's, I think, the big takeaway here. I really don't think anyone expects there to be movement here, either a cut or a hike. In today's meeting, in today's announcement, it looks to me like what all of the Fed watchers are going to do is pay attention to the tone, just determine whether or not Powell is dovish or hawkish, and then might kind of look at what some of the other Fed members are saying here. So I would imagine it's going to kind of be a parsing and a breakdown rather than just a headline shock there as the producer gets the hawk sounds playing early here today. We're probably going to need both of those. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.33%. This actually came in from yesterday, which is great. Still below the 4.5 threshold that we've been looking at, and the 2-year bond at 3.87. Those continue to move in the right direction as well. Now, some insights on what's going on here. As the FOMC is expected to keep the interest rates unchanged, Ed Yardeni of Yardeni Research said in his daily newsletter, quote, "There's a good chance that Governors Michelle Bowman and Christopher Waller will dissent." Quote, "They were both appointed by Trump. They both have stated that they want to cut the FFR now before the labor market weakens." That FFR is the Fed funds rate. If they don't dissent, then the stock and bond markets could rally significantly on expectations that the FOMC participants are leaning towards cutting the federal funds rate in September, thus placating the two potential dissenters. So Yardeni here giving you a readout there on that. We'll see if that ends up taking place here. For any of you that want to kind of keep this and just see who was right on that, there's your link there in the chat. Good morning, Mama Bear, Crimp Biscuit, and Pro Fast Guy. Oh, I love that. What kind of car do you have that goes pro fast? Meanwhile, Alex Sepiev, probably pronounced that wrong. I'm sorry, Alex, but I tried. The chief strategy officer at B2 Prime Group said, quote, "Taking into account the not very positive statistics from the United States regarding inflation, the rate is unlikely to be lowered this week. That would be too optimistic." Total agreement there. Good morning, thinking about it. He explained that other Federal Reserve officers express a similar opinion. The U.S. economy is showing signs of weakening, even if it looks fine on the surface. He adds, quote, "Although not only Trump, but the entire market is waiting for a rate cut, most likely the Fed will continue the decline in September if the economic situation gets better." Additionally, Louis Navellier, who we're going to talk to tomorrow of Navellier and Associates, said that, quote, "The August 1st deadline is being adhered to and providing the financial markets with more certainty." And he's been spot on really this entire time with all of his analysis. And I think this, again, here, he's hitting on the key point. There's going to be arguments on whether these deals are good. A lot of that has to do with people's opinion of Trump. It is what it is. But perhaps more importantly than any of the opinion-based stuff is if the market determines that there is certainty and it can start looking forward. If that's the case, or if we continue to introduce more and more certainty, the market should respond positively, especially if this is a sell the news event. I think that does kind of set up for a move higher. So if we go back to the SPY chart that I spoke about earlier, if we get some of this move down to the 20-day, uncertainty is removed by the August 1st deadline. To me, that seems like a pretty good entry spot for a nice little swing long there. We'll see if it shakes out. According to with Navalier, many European manufacturers, especially the automotive companies, are expected to onshore more of their manufacturing due to not only 15% tariffs, but also more expensive electricity and labor costs. So we'll see how that stuff shakes out. Now, I did want to talk really quickly about Visa. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the chart, then we'll go into the recap of the report itself. Let's pull up ticker V, Visa. Here's where we sit at. Let me back this out a little bit so you can get a more clear picture. We were real close to recapturing that 50-day. The reason that is appealing is because right above that 50-day is going to be another resistance level right about 360. It really depends on where you draw your line there, but it's right in there. And then there's a gap up to about 370. Then we have the all-time high here. So it was starting to look like maybe we'll take this out. Maybe we'll get some closes above these levels. And then we had earnings. Earnings actually caused us to sink below the 20. We actually lost the 20 the day before. Earnings caused us to sink below the 100-day. That also represented a near-term support level at about 345. The next level coming up here is 335, and at 333, we have the 200-day. This is important because if we rewind back to Liberation Day here on April 7th, Visa, when it really plunged to the 200-day, bounced hard, and this would have been a great trade. So now with that kind of removed, if we do move to the 200-day, does that set up another long side trade? Sure seems like it. Visa earnings out of the way now. Let's take a look at that report because that may impact whether or not you decide to take this one here. A double beat, and the CEO says consumer spending remains, quote, resilient. We kind of knew that already. Visa reported third quarter net revenue of $10.17 billion, which was up 14% year over year. The revenue total beat a street consensus estimate of $9.82 billion. The company's revenue growth was helped by year-over-year growth in payment volume, cross-border volume, and processed transactions. Visa reported quarterly adjusted earnings per share of $2.98, beating a street consensus, of $2.83. Payment volume was up 8% year-over-year in the quarter, and the company's processed transactions were up 10% year-over-year. Quote, Visa delivers another strong quarter with 14% net revenue growth, 12% GAAP EPS growth, and 23% non-GAAP EPS growth. That came from CEO Ryan McKierney. He also said healthy business driver trends continued through the quarter and into the first weeks of July. So it doesn't look like that's changing here. McKierney said that consumer spending is resilient and growth for discretionary and non-discretionary spending continues in the United States. The CEO also stated that the company's focus is on innovation and product development in areas such as AI and stable coins. McKierney believes these items will help, quote, shape the future of commerce, end quote, and bring value to shareholders. So really, really good stuff there as well. Okay. That is Visa. Let's also take a look at Starbucks here. Let me go back to Benzinga Pro and we'll take a look at the Starbucks chart. We'll do the same thing here where we kind of zoom out a little bit. And I think the one thing to notice here, Starbucks, it's kind of been in this range from like 80 to maybe 100. And it's kind of been in this range for a while. Now here today, Starbucks on a good report, it is trading higher by 6% here in the pre-market, and you can see exactly what this move does take us above the 20, but perhaps more importantly, takes us above that 200 and that near-term double top. To me, it seems like the 100 magnet is going to be in effect here today on Starbucks. I would be entirely unsurprised if this thing trades up to 100. I also wouldn't be surprised if it peaked above 100 and then sold off, but that's neither here nor there. Report here, and you can see we are on the edge of a breakout level. This $100 level is going to be quite sticky. It also does kind of feel a little bit gappy in here. Maybe you get a little bit of resistance at round 105, 106, but it feels kind of gappy all the way up to 116. So we'll see here if Starbucks can end up making a move. It's basically moving away from its volume point of control. So it's actually going to need some serious buyers, I think, to break out from that 100. Let's take a look at the earnings report here. Revenue beat, EPS missed. The turnaround efforts are ahead of schedule, and perhaps this is what the market wants to hear. Starbucks reported third quarter revenue of $9.46 billion, which beat the analyst consensus estimate of $9.29 billion. The coffee giant reported third quarter adjusted earnings of 50 cents per share, missing the analyst estimates of 65 cents per share. Consolidated net revenue was up 4% on a year-over-year basis. Global comparable store sales declined 2%, driven by a 2% decline in comparable transactions, partially offset by a 1% increase in average ticket price. Comparable store sales fell 2% in North America and were approximately flat internationally. The company said comparable store sales in China were up 2% in the quarter. So it looks like this kind of nets out at about flat, down a little bit in North America, but perhaps the surprise there up a little bit in China. Starbucks opened 308 net new stores in the third quarter and ended the quarter with 41,097 total locations. Boy, people love their coffee, don't they? 41,000, almost 41,100 Starbucks. The company said it has approximately $4.17 billion in cash and cash equivalents at the quarter's end. Brian Niccol, chairman and CEO, says, quote, "We've fixed a lot and done the hard work on the hard things to build a strong operational foundation. And based on my experience of turnarounds, we are ahead of schedule. In 2026, we'll unleash a wave of innovation that fuels growth, elevates customer service, and ensures everyone's experiences are the very best of Starbucks." Starbucks board declared a cash dividend of 61 cents per share, which is payable on August 29th to shareholders of record on August 15th. Niccol and CFO Kathy Smith will also hosted their conference call that Starbucks just kind of held its move through that. So let me know, anyone looking at trading Starbucks, is this something that we're looking for maybe a trade higher, maybe a break of that 100? You let me know if this is something that is interesting to you. Okay, we're going to get to Tim Melvin here in a sec. I do have a Meta and a Robinhood earnings preview, but I really quickly, before we get to Tim, I want to touch on UNH because this is a stock that we've been looking at quite a bit here on this program, and the hits just keep on coming. United Health, hit by a $6.5 billion medical cost blowout, launches an AI-led overhaul. I'm not surprised. Drops 600,000 members to regain margins. These are serious challenges. During its second quarter earnings call on Tuesday, United Healthcare CEO Tim Knowles said, "Our pricing assumptions were well short of actual medical costs. We know these are serious challenges, We are humbled by them." As the company now expects the full year Medicare Advantage trend, which refers to year-over-year increase in healthcare costs per member, to be approximately 7.5%, well above the 5% trend that it assumed when setting its 2025 bids. Under Medicare Advantage, private insurers such as United Health get paid a fixed amount by the U.S. government per enrollee to manage their health care. Quote, "Physician and outpatient care together represent 70% of the pressure year to date. In short, most encounters are intensifying in services and costing more. The decision to exit underperforming plans, which affects more than 600,000 people, is centered around less managed products such as PPO offerings, which is Preferred Provider Organization," according to Knoll. He added that United Health has made significant adjustments to benefits in response to margin compression. Executive Chairman Stephen Hemsley, who recently returned to the top role, said the company is undergoing a fundamental reset. He says, quote, "We have embarked on a real culture shift in our relationship with regulators and all external stakeholders," end quote. Helmsley said they intend to infuse this entire enterprise with an AI-first orientation as the company reaffirms its plans to deliver $1 billion in cost reductions by 2026 while targeting a return to earnings growth starting in 2027. United Health Group has had a rough year in 2025 with the stock down 48% year to date amid a slew of challenges in recent months. It began with the assassination of former CEO Brian Thompson in December of 2024 by Luis Mangione, which later became the subject of an investor lawsuit that alleges the company downplayed the potential impact of his murder on its performance. In May, the stock plunged again due to abrupt resignation of the company's CEO, Andrew Whitty, with former CEO Hemsley succeeding him. That's who we just heard from. The company also suspended its guidance for 2025 at the same time, citing continued acceleration in care activity. Last week, the company announced that it was cooperating with the U.S. Department of Justice Criminal Healthcare Fraud Unit, which has brought United Healthcare's medical billing practices into scrutiny. The company released its second quarter results on Tuesday and reported $111.62 billion in revenue, which was up 13% year over year, but missing the consensus estimate of $111.69. Boy, they barely missed that. UNH here, shares were down 7.46%. This actually had kind of a nasty move, if you recall correctly. A shout out to our traders that ended up hitting this yesterday. Here's what it looked like. We sold off in the pre-market. We actually bounced in the pre-market, rolled over again, tried to bounce out of the open, just did not have the strength, ended up closing on the lows. We're trying to trade up a little bit here today. But I wouldn't put too much into that. Let's see how it actually trades here. Oh, I didn't even share any of that. Oh, my heavens to Betsy. I'm sorry about that. Here's the inside view of the chart there, just so you can kind of see what the price action, was. Okay. It's time, folks. It's your favorite time of the week. It is Tim Melvin time. Let's go ahead and bring him on. Hey, Timbo, how you doing here today? Happy Wednesday.
Good morning, guys. Ryan, check this out. We've won 5 in a row. I've got my Orioles shirt on. We're playing baseball like we thought we would all year. So I've got a brief little moment in the sunshine to wear my orange shirt out in public. I'm very excited.
Okay, well, I'm excited for you too. I would probably be a little bit more excited if the Cubs weren't in free fall right now, losing 2 games in a row to the Brewers and frankly having to really struggle to take 2 of 3 from the pathetic Chicago White Sox. So, good luck, Tim. We'll see what happens in the second half here.
We're still not going to catch the Cubs. I mean,
yeah, I'm not worried about the bet at this point. I'm worried about the Cubs actually producing and doing something here in the playoffs. They're going to need to add multiple starting pitching arms. So we'll see if they get that done. Trade deadline tomorrow.
Well, I mean, maybe they can get the kid. I always pronounce his name wrong, but the kid that beat them Monday night from Milwaukee and Paul
Wizarowski. There's no way they're going to get him. Yeah.
And Paul Skeens, if they can just get those 2.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
if they can just get the 2 really young good players, they'll be in good shape. We'll see. I'm thinking Alcantara and maybe Shane Bieber, who's coming off injury from Cleveland. Okay. Enough with the baseball there. We'll see what happens with that. What do you got for us here today, market-wise?
Well, I tell you what, let's pick up one of the threads from last week. We were doing the mid-year updates, and we got through the KKR update, but we didn't get to JP Morgan's commercial real estate update, and I do want to touch on that. I know I'm supposed to talk and obsess over the Fed meeting today, but that's not something that I'm going to do.
That's okay, Tim, because I can do that for you. We're probably going to be talking about that a lot here today. So if you want to produce some other content for us, we'll be okay with that.
Yeah, because I really, the Fed's probably not going to do anything today, and we're all going to obsess over every sentence, and that just strikes me as a non-productive game. Now, JP Morgan came out back in the middle of the month with their commercial real estate update for the year. Now, there's a reason you pay attention to JP Morgan when they talk about real estate. Simple truth. They finance more of the stuff than anybody else pretty much in the world. And what they don't directly finance, they do warehouse lending for. They are also in touch with all of the major real estate and private equity investment firms. These guys know more about what's going on in the economy in the world than most, simply because they see damn near every dollar that crosses every desk everywhere. So we're going to talk about what JP Morgan thinks. And again, you're going to find that the guys at JP Morgan are apparently brilliant because they pretty much think exactly in line with me. And that is
okay.
that is, I have said numerous occasions, and I'm pretty sure that line is stolen from Mark Twain. But the best measure of intelligence is how much someone agrees with me. So let's.
I like that, Tim. I'm going to use that myself.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, if you look at what's going on, commercial real estate, and by the way, I hear all the traders going, "Oh God, REITs, who cares?" You should care, and here's why. Real estate since 1972, when Sam Zell and some other folks remade what the REIT industry looks like and how it's regulated and how it's taxed, have outperformed the S&P 500 by a rather substantial margin. The idea that you should have most of your passive money in stock indexes and a little tiny bit in real estate is frankly one of the dumber ideas that anybody has ever come up with, because long term REITs outperform. Best of all, no matter how your business is doing, good, bad, on the verge of success, on the verge of failure, rents do. If you don't pay it, you get replaced. And when you, it's also fantastic for reversion trading, because it's the old Will Rogers thing. Will Rogers, I think, was the name of the uh, LA LA investor and popular culture figure. Anyway, he once said that he was only investing in real estate because they ain't making anymore. And that's true whether it's office or real estate. There's definable, investable, tradable trends in real estate. So you need to pay attention to it. It's a very important market. So coming up, here's what you worry about in real estate, according to JP Morgan, and I 100% agree with this. Tariffs and trade, not because we know exactly how tariffs are going to impact the world, but because everybody's frozen by them right now. All right. And that is, it could become a problem in lumber, steel, some other materials. We don't know. We'll see. But it's got business kind of frozen. Nobody's looking to build new buildings, hire, expand until they do have some outlook. So tariffs and trade and the conversation around that is kind of a risk to the second half, which leads us to the new one, to the next one. And this is a big one for the real estate market, particularly new construction. That's immigration. Um, and I happen to 100% agree that we need to close the border, and that illegal immigrants are a problem. However, it's also cut back on legal immigration, and that has frozen some areas of the employment market, including construction, where look, we've all seen the contractors out in front of Home Depot doing the hiring in the morning. We know they use illegal immigrant labor. When that labor pool goes away, it's a problem. So there's just a couple things that aren't maybe on your radar screen, but they kind of need to be talked about.
Okay.
Uh, Now, so let's just look. Multifamily is probably the best market right now by far. And the reasons for that are in the headlines every day. There's a housing problem out there. In case you guys hadn't noticed, there is a shortage of new home inventory. It's really low. We just had one of the lowest existing home sales numbers in a very long time the other day, and it's just simply because there's no existing homes on the market. And Ryan, we've talked about this. I mean, you've got a sub 3% mortgage. What's it going to take to get you to move?
Probably something close to that. It doesn't necessarily have to be less, Tim, but it can't be 6.
Right. Or unless somebody's going to pay you like $5 million to come do something that you love somewhere.
Okay. If someone wants to pay me $5 million, we can talk about doing that.
Right. Right. No, exactly. I mean, it takes something big to get you to move. You've also got well over half of housing in hands of people 50 or older. They've either moved during COVID when rates were low, or they're not moving. They're going to age in place. And we're seeing that more and more. So you've got this really small inventory of existing homes. You've got not enough home building activity to take up the slack. That means, and then by the way, mortgage rates, we were all anchored to 3. Now they're almost 7. It's harder for a young couple coming up to afford the home that they want. So you've got a whole generation basically that's now stuck in apartments. They would like to move. They can't afford to move. They're stuck there. But that doesn't mean that the world stops spinning. There's another generation. They're graduating high school. They're getting jobs. They're going to college. They're graduating college. They're starting families. They're all coming up. They're moving into the apartments too. So we've got twice as much demand. And every year somebody says, oh my God, they're just building apartments. I drive around town and everywhere I look, they're just building apartments everywhere. There's too many. This is going to be terrible. And the banks, they've said, well, you know what? Maybe that's right. So we're going to stop lending. So new projects kind of dried up. And you know what happened to all those apartments that they built, Ryan? They filled up almost immediately.
Tim, I saw a story yesterday. It was a Market Watch story. I actually think I have the link here about Apparently it's a bipartisan bill to try and help out first-time homebuyers buy manufactured housing.
That's
Right?
a great. That is a great idea. I'm not sure you can legislate it at a federal level. I think that if you manufactured housing is way less expensive. This comes down to some local area legislation where you need to relax some of the building codes and density standards. Um, Manufactured housing is a fantastic idea to unlock the low end of the housing market. Because frankly, take Toll Brothers, right? They've got fat margins on $1 million house. They've got tiny margins on a $250,000 house. Now the regulatory costs are the same. The site clearing costs pretty much the same. So you've got all the same fixed expenses with a much lower margin. No incentive for them to build there. Manufactured homes could be a huge part of the solution. I will just tell you this, and you could go back and just look at housing legislation over the decades. You can't do this at a federal level. Okay. You can make suggestions. You can make encouragement. We have 50 states with probably 100,000 communities in the United States.
Yeah.
They're all different. There's local flavors, local opinions. Housing is local. So, but anything we can do to encourage that and push it down, and that really has a lot to do with density policies and regulations and building codes, it is a great idea because this is a big problem, and it's going to take kind of a focus to get it to go away.
Yeah, and I think one of the other if they do end up doing this and manufactured homes, that they're actually able to kind of get this rolling here. One of the things you kind of touched on, and one of the things is you really can't get mortgages for some of these. Traditionally, that's been very difficult. But the other thing here that this would mean for stocks is that this is likely going to mean that mortgage originators are going to be pretty good, and that bodes well for Rocket, UWMC, and others. So
it's great news for the banking industry too, which is a big bank investor. I'm like,
yep.
Super
I bet you're happy about that.
So yeah, and now just getting into naming some names, because I know that's what you guys all like, and I don't blame you. Mid America Apartments, MAA, is one of the big ones in the space. The dominant player, the gorilla, if you will, is Equity Residential Properties. You Chicago folks should know that because that is a Sam Zell outfit.
Yep.
There is, and I'm trying to remember, UMH Properties, I believe, is the manufactured home REIT.
Yep, it sure is.
Yep,
there were a couple of these that we actually looked at yesterday. I can't remember the tickers, but this was absolutely one of them. This is a leader, in fact.
Yes, and then on the lower end, Independence Realty Trust, IRT, we like that one quite a bit. Just coming through and looking here. Next Point Residential, love that REIT. Love that REIT, a whole big fat bunch.
What was the ticker on that?
NXRT.
NXRT. Then we had UMH and also IRT. Okay, I'm going to keep this list here and give it to the chat when we get there. So, okay, perfect.
Finally, BRT. The Gould family controls it, but eventually, someday, they're going to have to get their money out of the thing.
You said BRT?
BRT. Yes. I mean, yeah. Yes.
BRT Apartments. Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, my kids bought their first house with BRT because my son-in-law put a bunch of money into that when I told him about it. And it's just really a very good apartment REIT. So there's three. If you're just looking for the passive, easy decision, I think EQR is the way to go. Office has issues. That's the one, right? Everybody's, oh my God, offices, nobody's ever going to work again. It's terrible. They're empty. It's awful. And yeah, okay, true of downtown office buildings, Center City, mostly Class B and C and older buildings. Class A buildings are full. SL Green came out the other day. They're one of the big Manhattan real estate investment trusts. They have a 91% occupancy rate, Ryan.
Okay, that's pretty good.
CUZ, which is mostly Sunbelt properties, and they want to own the very best buildings. They want to own the stuff that's a notch above Class A. So again, really high occupancy rate, people standing in line. Their properties have a waiting list. So that's just kind of Vernado, VNO, same way. And, we absolutely love all of their
Yeah.
preferreds, by the way. They've got a whole bunch of them out there. We think they're just fantastic, money good, 7.5% investments where they're all trading well below par, right? Under $20, most places, $25 par. So if you get interest rate cuts, a favorable ratings upgrade on the parent company, a changing perception of commercial real estate markets, these things skyrocket. They don't go back to 25 because of the coupon. They go back to 20.
Tim, really quickly, just kind of off the cuff here. Do you prefer the preferreds to just VNO in general?
No, I'd buy both. And the reason is the preferreds ain't going to raise the dividend.
Gotcha. Okay.
And whereas VNO will over time. So office, the other area of office that I like, now this is controversy on top of controversy. Okay. Office. Oh, awful. What's worse than office? Los Angeles office. I mean, LA is just a disaster. And look, I happen to agree, but there's two markets. There's downtown and east, and there's west of downtown. Downtown and east, that's where all the bad news, the homeless communities, the crime, all that stuff that's happening. And west of downtown, that's Santa Monica. That's that's the great areas, Brentwood, where everybody wants to be. So the Class A operators out there are Kilroy Realty, KRC, and Douglas Emmett, DEI. Now, controversial picks. Buy them in 10 years. Please remember to think of me kindly and send me Christmas cards because west of downtown, it's really cool. To the west, you have the mountains. To the north, to the west, you have the ocean. Sorry.
Ocean. I was going to say.
Got my things mixed up. You've got the ocean. To the north, you've got the mountains. To the south, you've got the desert. There's nowhere to build anymore west of downtown, right? You've got your lowest new supply coming on of any market in the country. Okay. And I see Big Bear Hugs asking about commercial REITs. I'm going to assume you mean commercial financing REITs. I'm going to give you guys this one. Write these down because I usually charge for these. This is an offshoot of the banking industry. I happen to be really good at this. Okay. KREF, that's KKRs. Ladder Capital, LADR. Ladder Capital is just sitting there. It's like the little guy that's about to knock out every big dude in the bar, right? They've sat there, and as their loans have run off the book, they've added them to cash. They've gone from you being just a lending REIT to buying bunches. Millions and millions of dollars of commercial real estate related AAA securities. Currently, they're buying these things with a 6 3/4 yield. And then they've also bought a bunch of net lease properties. So you've got a whole lot going on here besides just the key loan portfolio, but they've deleveraged. They are now the only commercial real estate financing REIT with a investment grade bond rating. Okay. LADR, it's been 8.6% dividend. That's just, yes, buy it. And then Starwood, STWD, same thing. Barry Sternlicht and his team are really good, very low exposure to office. They've expanded into infrastructure, and they've just made a several billion-dollar purchase of net lease property. So it's more, again, than just the financing division. And you've got Barry Sternlicht, one of the brightest guys in the world, overseeing.
This is, by the way, this Starwood here, STWD, full disclosure, I own this. It's my biggest dividend position. It's my favorite dividend position.
And every time that thing goes blip, you buy, right?
Yep.
They did that big net lease deal the other day, and it was like 400 and some properties. Really great, high quality portfolio of net lease properties, but they did a stock offering to finance it.
Yep. Bought that.
Okay. And the market sold off. You have to buy that because that's just stupid. These REITs, when they move in and they expand, they issue stock. This is not like companies doing a stock offering that's dilutive to the stock or anything like that. They're buying assets with this stuff. So the assets are going up almost dollar for dollar with the offering in this case. So Starwood hasn't changed the dividend rate since like before Ryan was old enough to shave. It's been a while.
That was early.
So the consistent dividend, fantastic yield in here. So Starwood, Ladder, KREF, those are the three absolute best. And this is a fantastic time to be in the real estate financing business, commercial real estate.
Okay.
Okay. Warehouse post COVID. Everybody and their brother that could scrape together $19 built a damn warehouse, because it was clear with the pandemic that no matter what we thought of what all went on politically, what was really clear, our supply chain was screwed up, right? We had everything on central distribution points, with everything being just in time delivery of everything from nuts and bolts to food. And we kind of figured out, okay, look, just this pandemic, as mild and moderate as it ended up being, froze our supply chains. And food issues. Remember when you couldn't find chicken? Right?
No, actually, I didn't ever have trouble.
No, it's in most parts of the country, you did actually have problems finding in the grocery store chickens and other items, because it was all coming from a central distribution center. The chicken processors were all closed because closed environment, everybody had COVID, they closed them. And again, you can disagree or agree with what happened. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the effect on the supply chain.
Sure.
It was a disaster. All right. Truckers couldn't move the stuff. The distribution centers were closed. It was awful. Stores ran out of stuff all over the United States. Now, Ryan's in Chicago, which is a major distribution point, and slaughterhouses and everything. So he probably did a little bit better than the rest of us. But
I also bought in bulk from Costco. So maybe there was a shortage here that I just kind of got through because I had it frozen.
Yeah. So anyway, supply chain broke entirely at almost every level. So everybody invested in warehouses because clearly that was going to be a great market. They were right, but we built too many. Now that's coming back on. And see, somebody, EKS, I got to meet this guy because he always says stuff I agree with, because it's one of the REITs I was going to talk about. Americold REIT, COLD. Now, keep that in mind because I'm going to come back to it. But we're now back into a point where it's not just the supply chain, it's e-commerce, right? There's a lot of drivers of warehouse and industrial property demand. We've stopped building more than we need. They're all filling back up. They've stayed occupied for the most part, the ones owned by REITs. Some of the local small operators had a little bit of problem. Americold is cold storage. All right. That's your food. Right? That's your medicine. It's cold storage. There's not enough of this stuff in the country. There's really not. And Americold has been expanding into other areas. That market has to go from central distribution to more local warehouses. It's great for Americold. And Joseph, I'm going to touch that question in a second.
Well, real quickly here. So you're also watching the questions. I also, before it gets too far away here, thinking about it, was asking if you could talk about Oscar, but we can save that till the end because it's not related to what you're talking about now.
Yeah, we will get to Oscar.
Perfect. Just want to make sure I get that on there.
Yes. So Americold COLD is going to be a big part of the remaking of the supply chain. Stag Industrial, STAG, and Plymouth Industrial, PLYM, are two of the absolute premier operators in the industrial warehouse space. Now that the overbuilding has stopped and the local marginal players have gone bye-bye, e-commerce is not going away, Ryan. In fact, it's just going to continue to grow. I mean, there's nothing that you can't get ordered and delivered directly to your house right now. Yep. I mean, I just cannot think. We've had everything. We've had generators, refrigerators. I mean, and they should have a statue of me in Amazon's lobby. They really should, because it's just too easy. So e-commerce, and then the supply chain really does have to continue to be remade. So you're going to see more local warehousing, and all of that's good for demand. So industrial, the strongest segment, along with multifamily in the market. Office, little dicier. Retail is a game of have and have-nots. Okay, the have-nots are older malls in smaller towns. They're just done. They're going to be dirt piles before too much longer, and they'll be finding something else to do with them. I mean, I've seen them seriously turned into everything from roller derby arenas to, being turned back over to farmland around the country. They're dead. They're done. They're gone.
So that's hilarious that you mentioned that. Really quickly, a couple of weeks ago, I was with one of my buddies who was asking about. We used to call it the Dirt Mall, that the one that's close to me growing up. That used to be jammed. I used to go there all the time.
Yeah.
The arcade, the food court, the whole 9 yards. It's a ghost town now. It is an absolute ghost town. You're right about that probably being a rubble pile. Interestingly, on Monday this week, apparently in the parking lot there was a car meet. So I went to it with my buddy, and I have never seen, there were more cars in that gigantic mall parking lot for this car meet than I've seen for the mall in the last 15 years. So I completely agree with you. I think that it's only a matter of time before some of these fold and get turned into something else.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely, they're just, there's no money to be made here, right? And you've had a lot of the anchor tenants of old, Sears, think JP Menney. They went bankrupt, caused financial stress. They're just done. Now, the great big malls in the big cities, the ones that have the Apple stores and the Nordstroms and the Gucci, the high-end ones, golden, money good, no problems there. Outlet malls. Guys, you haven't lived till you've been in an outlet mall at 9:00 in the morning on Saturday and seen the buses pull up. All I'm going to tell you is don't get in their way. Because you will get run over, okay? So outlet malls, so Tanger SKT has had a huge run, but the axe here, the big one is Simon Property Group SPG, and they own the Class A malls. They own a few of your really high upper end tourist destination type outlet malls. So that's kind of if you just want to broadly passively own the best of the best retail that's not going away, the answer is SPG. My absolute favorite in here is CTO. This is CTO Realty Growth. This used to be Consolidated Tomoka. Every value investor on their planet of a certain age, i.e. mine, has owned this stock at some point or another. Because it was just this giant collection of real estate assets that was just sitting here, and they were reinvesting the cash. It wasn't a REIT until 2020. Now it's a REIT. It's throwing off a ton of cash, 8.61%. It's primarily open air malls around the United States in high density areas with high average incomes. Okay. They also own a significant chunk of Alpine income properties, which is a triple net lease. So they've got that throwing off a ton of cash. But this is just an outstanding collection of real estate. The dividend is more than covered. I see that somebody wrote a bear report on it the other day that made the stock decline. I don't think we care. Well, matter of fact, I know we don't care about that. It's internally managed. There's high levels of insider ownership. Something called the Wolf Pack is says management's enriching themselves, and that's good news to me if management's enriching themselves, since they own a lot of stock, which means they have to enrich me too. And then the other one that you have to love, just because the occupancy rates are high, they've stayed high, they're always going to stay high. That's your grocery anchored real estate. And so
what's the ticker?
Well, we've got a couple. Kimco Realty is KIM.
Okay.
And then KRG, which is Kite Realty Group, is the other one. This is just your local grocery store, right? And then this one's not going to get out. This one won't be replaced by the internet, right?
But did you say KIG?
KRG.
KRG, excuse me.
And KIM, yes.
KIM, got it.
Even if you order your groceries online, they came from a local grocery store. For the, even Whole Foods, even Amazon is Whole Foods, right? So when you see a local grocery store in HEB or Publix or Harris Teeter or whatever your grocery store is, Safeway, and then you look at the tenants in there, it's dry cleaning, it's a pharmacy, it's a beauty shop. You can't replace these with the internet, right? So they're always going to have high occupancy rates as long as they've got a good anchor grocery store tenant. The buildings will always be full because other people want to be in there to support their smaller business. So this is just a steady growing. Anytime you see, like in April, I'm looking at KRG, it fell from up around 23 down to 18 to change. You just got to be a buyer of that.
Okay.
Right. Because long term, this is just going to stack assets for you.
I had a question here about one line 3D asking about LINE.
Line.
Lineage. Oh, is this not? Is the sorry, I thought this might have fit into the theme that you were talking about.
No, this is an industrial REIT.
Yeah, it's a warehouse REIT.
Warehouse REIT. I don't know it as well as I know the other ones, but look, it's a temperature controlled warehouse.
Yeah.
These things are in short supply. Anytime you've got something in short supply that is necessary for people to stay alive, all right, as long as it's not over leveraged and mismanaged, it's a pretty good buy. So we haven't done a lot of work on Lineage, so I'm not going to just stand here and jump up and down like I have about Americold. But these things long term, they've been selling off with the segment of the market.
Chart is attractive online, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think starting to build a base, starting to try to come up. So, now I got to go look at that. Let me write that one.
See, that's what we do. You give us stuff, we give you work to do. It's a perfect thing.
Okay. Now, the best REITs in existence in the planet. If you don't have these in your long-term portfolio, you are making a mistake. If you do not gift them to your children and grandchildren, you are making a mistake. That's casino REITs. This is the best business in the world, right? People love to gamble. And you saw in the early days of COVID and going back where we knew nothing about it, right? Except, the Italians were telling us that everybody was dying. So people still showed up knowing that they were being told there's a significant risk you're going to die if you come in here and play blackjack. They came in. And that's going to hold true pretty much no matter war, pestilence, doesn't matter. Casinos are open. Not a single casino missed their rent payment. A single casino owned by a REIT. Maybe some of the tiny ones I don't know about did. No casinos missed their rent payment. They're not giving up that property. That's especially true if you have a Vegas, kind of anchor strip property. There's no way in hell you're giving up that lease. Same with some of the premier riverboat and inner city locations around the country. Even if they make you close for a period of time under some, regulation, some dumb idea on how to, solve a problem, you're still going to pay the rent, right? And because it's the casino business, you still got a lot of cash stuffed in various nooks and crannies around the building to pay the rent for a very long time. So now let's take Vici Properties, VICI. This was created to own all the properties of Caesars. They have expanded dramatically over the years. It's a 5.34% dividend. They grow at about 5% a year, have since they came public. They've got relationships with Harrah's and Hard Rock and just a bunch of other casinos around the country. However, they have 4 championship golf courses in the Vegas area, and they have a massive plot of land sitting next to the strip empty. All of the leases are super long-term, 20, 25 years. All of casino leases have an escalator. So these rents automatically go up every year by a certain percentage. So they're kind of inflation protected, right? Again, you just buy these. You reinvest the dividend. You forget that you own them. You quit worrying about them. If you turn on the news and you see in April 2nd where casinos REITs are falling from 32 back to 29, 10% or more, you buy them, you buy more. If you come back in here and you see, let me put the monthly chart on here because this was the layup trade back in 2020, right? These things got crushed because nobody was ever going to go to a casino again. Now, if you know any degenerate gamblers, you know damn good and well that's not true.
That's right.
So, this thing fell down into the teens and immediately recovered up into the 30s. So anytime you see really negative headlines around the gambling industry and the casino REITs get smacked, you buy them. But okay. Vici Properties and then GLPI, which is Gaming and Leisure Properties, is also another big one. They just reported earnings, had a decent report. And again, It's a 6.62% dividend, and it's just going to be slow, steady, continuous increases in the dividend over time. So they, again, triple net lease. Tenant pays maintenance, they pay insurance, they pay the taxes. There's escalator clauses in all the leases. These guys are moving a little bit more into some other entertainment type facilities along with the casinos. But, these two, you just own those for a very long time and just forget you ever heard the word index fund.
Okay, Tim, can we touch on Oscar real quick before we send you out here for today?
Yeah, absolutely. It's my underperforming stock as much as I love the business, so we have to talk about that every week for the rest of my life till it finally goes up again. But yeah.
Well, just a quick reminder here. I believe that we talked about this in the 14s, and this thing went to 22. So
yeah, no, it's okay. I get it. If you bought the stock, you're worried what the hell's going on. The perception out here is, and we're seeing it in United Health, we're seeing it in all the healthcare stocks, that health insurance is going to go away. Right? It's going to be a disaster. We're kicking all these people off of Medicaid. Oscar Health, a lot of their business comes off of the exchanges, the ACA exchanges, Obamacare. So what's going to happen to them if the Republicans do away with the exchanges? Well, a couple thoughts here. First off, when we get into the nuts and bolts, going to be really, really hard to do away with the exchanges. Even if they do, got to replace it with something, right? You can't just turn to the, like 20% of the population, I think, that's now on one of these plans and say, good luck, you're on your own. It's not going to work that way. So there'll be a replacement plan. And no matter what happens, Oscar Health is going to be a part of the solution. They are the most tech forward insurance company out there. They're so good, they're actually licensing some of their business management and loss management software to other insurance companies. That's a growing part of the business. This has been an aggravating period of time with this stock, to be absolutely sure. Now, we've got earnings coming up on August 6th. I think they're going to surprise to the upside again. But look, you have to like this stock long term. Again, if you're thinking long term, remember something. You and I are always going to get into some problems. I'm speaking generally to the audience because on this show, you're thinking in weeks and months, and I'm thinking 10 years from now. So I'm still super bullish on Oscar Health, but I think this short term, until we get clarity in what the health insurance market is going to look like, it could be a little bumpy. And remember, the CEO of Oscar Health did a great commentary at a symposium not long ago. He said, look, the future of health insurance is individual health because it allows it to be tailored and fit to the individual and to the issuing company. I think he's probably right about that. And so we are going to see changes in the health insurance market, but Oscar's going to be a player and a leader in that, in my opinion.
Okay. And then one more thing to clean up here before we send you out. Joe was asking you earlier here, can you ask Tim if he correlated the past movement in these real estate recommendations with Fed rate changes? You said you were going to touch on that.
I did, and the Fed rate changes don't mean diddly squat to the REITs. How about that for a shocker?
I suspected that that's what you were going to say, but I wanted to let you say it.
The National Association of REITs did a study on it. I called BS on it a long time ago. I was like, nah, interest rates, of course. No, not that much correlation. There's a modest correlation to the 10-year. Okay, so if you want to use interest rates and the REIT market, you pay attention to the 10-year because that's what everything finances off of. 10-year yields are okay. They're in there. They're not at a level that would break anything. I have a final comment, Ryan, that I got to get in. Jerry Parker of Chesapeake Capital is one of the original turtles, right? He is one of the ones that made $87 gajillion following those trading rules. For those of you that don't know what the turtles are, shame on you. Go read a damn book. The turtles were the famous traders. Richard Dennis of Chicago, one of the most successful traders ever, bet his partner, William Eckert, that he could train traders to succeed. Eckert called BS. They bet money on it. Kind of trading places here, right? Dennis taught them the system, and of the turtles, which is what the students were called, those who stuck to the rules became multi-millionaires. Those who deviated not. So Jerry Parker is a trend follower. He built Chesapeake Capital into a great business. He's one of the best trend followers of all time, featured in Michael Covel's book, Trend Following and podcast. He made comments last week and he said, look, stock indexes, too crowded, everything's known, too much whipping around, the moves really aren't big enough. They're not going to give you the type of returns that you need in trend following. To get the idiosyncratic, asymmetric returns from trend following that you need, you should pay attention to individual stocks. Why is that important? Ryan, what are we talking about tonight?
We're talking about undervalued stocks and also how income strategies that you can use on those stocks.
And using trend.
Sorry.
To identify the opportunities in undervalued stocks and income stocks. So we're going to touch on trend following and individual stocks in addition to undervalued stocks and income stocks in tonight's webinar. So don't miss that, guys. It's going to be really good.
Okay. Thank you for that. By the way, if you want to join Tim on that or join us, on that webinar tonight, go ahead and scan this QR code on your screen. It's of course free. And we'll also, if any of you are waiting for a sale on Edge or Pro, there might be something like that going on here tonight too. Just going to float that out there. Tim, as always, thank you very much for the expertise in all of the stocks. I did drop that list. It's a big list here today, but I did drop that there in the chat for you. So you're all set.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Tim, take care. I'll see you tonight. All right, that is Tim Melvin. Really good stuff there. Lots of different stocks to take a look at here. And then good morning. Good morning to everyone else that is joining us a little bit later here. Beach Bum, good morning. Bear Hug, Jay, Matthew, Akin, anyone else that I may have missed. Really good stuff there. Let's go ahead and get 13 in here, see how he's doing. We're going to break down the movers. 13, how are you, my man?
I'm doing pretty good. How's everybody? How are you?
I'm doing all right. Another day, another dollar. Let's go ahead and take a look at those movers. Get prepared for the session here today. And by that time, we'll probably be ready for the opening bell. So first one here is going to be ticker REPL. This is Replimune Group. This one rings a bell. I feel like we traded this pretty recently.
It may have shown up on scanners because it had a pretty massive drop earlier this
month.
I think last week is when this thing.
A huge drop here. This gap fills up here about 1226. Let's see what we got going. No news here on this one yet today. Quick look at the short interest on this, though. 14.34% of the float shorted. So without a doubt, this has some squeeze potential here. Also, 3.94 days to cover. Maybe it lasts a little bit. On average, it trades 4.34 million shares. Today, we've traded 54.5. What are you thinking here on REPL, my man?
Well, I don't have any news to back this up, but I was kind of looking at the financials and thinking, okay, well, this has some cash. And then I saw how much it has. And then I looked at the market value and I was just like, or the market cap. And I was like, wait a minute, this thing might be undervalued, or it might be so beat up that it looked like it was undervalued. And that's why it's popping up here today. It looks like since it came down and lost $4, it's been trying to recapture it for the past couple of weeks. Finally successfully did that, running into resistance back from May and April. I have a feeling if we're going to look at its equity value and just kind of run on that, it could go as high as $9 to $10. Now we're still trading up here, and it looks like we're about to put in some new pre-market highs, and we're still trading above VWAP. And it looks like we could still, make some more highs here if we can take out this 706 pretty soon. So I think this one may continue to move up into the open, but just be a little bit cautious. If we do get that moving up into the open, I anticipate an initial pull. Now, as long as we hold above VWAP and this 645 area, I don't think we'll head south quite yet.
Okay, and looking at this chart here, I mean, I think this is what you mean by the 645. This was the dead low thereabouts, but this daily chart kind of showing you a double bottom here, and that former support now looks like it's resistance. Jay Rice, appreciate this. REPL had bad news last week, but on that bad news, big buyer of the September 5 calls earlier this week on Monday. Jay said they knew. Indeed, those calls in the money now, pretty good. So, Jay, I guess the only follow-up question here is, do you think there's some more legs on this? I know that they obviously chose September here, but and man, there were a lot of downgrades with this as well.
It got news that it received an FDA complete response letter for their RP1 BLA and advanced melanoma, and they got a lot of downgrades as a result of that. So that's why they got hammered.
And then Wedbush here said that they were surprised by that. Okay, interesting. REPL, this one, this is a pretty interesting move here today. We'll see if this can end up taking out 7. Clearly, that's an intraday double top that we have there. Okay, next on the list is BGLC. This is BioNexus Gene Lab, volume pretty good here as well. The stock was about $4 yesterday, almost a double as it's up 80% here today. We did have some news with this one, thankfully. BioNexus Gene Lab Corporation and Fidelion sign a term sheet, BGLC, to acquire an equity stake in Fidelion and secure exclusive commercial rights to VitaGuard across Southeast Asia. So, okay, so I actually didn't look through this PR, but the sounds pretty good here. Quick look around the horn on BGLC. 2.13% of the float shorts is pretty negligible. Nothing there on the days to cover. Average volume here, 1 million. Today we traded almost 23 million. Floats, 1.8. What do you think here on BGLC? We've traded this one too. I recognize this ticker.
We might have. I'd have to go back and look when we did that. But yeah, 1.79 million shares in the float. Looks like it's running into a bit of resistance around 8. We did pop up to as high as 876 here in the pre-market before backing off of that. But it does have a bit of an uptrend that it's in. I drew a trend line on the top of the price action we've been getting because I wanted to see if we may end up testing that again. Well, currently looks like we're rolling over here and putting the support of VWAP at risk. So as long as that continues to hold VWAP, we may still be able to continue in this uptrend. But that resistance at $8, I'm thinking that we need to really get through that in order to go higher. Otherwise, we could end up losing VWAP.
Okay, and I think this is the trend line, right? I just kind of drew it from what I saw here in the pre-market. Is that about right?
Mine was a little steeper. I started from the first impulse move at 805.
Okay, and it looks like you were probably doing something like this
with the wicks before that. Yeah.
Wow, that's a steep one. You're not kidding.
Yeah. So let's see if it's above 8 again. So let's see if we can take out. I mean, it looks like more like 850 is the bigger resistance area. But let's see if we can get back above that and start taking out some of these pre-market highs and make our way toward the trend line. Still, not sure if we're going to end up getting all of that because we are a little extended up here.
Okay.
So, anyway. Okay,
good stuff. Next one here, SGD. This one was one we talked about yesterday. It did have some movement here yesterday. Looks like the real fireworks came in the after hours, a little bit lower here today, struggling to get back above the VWAP here at 186. Let's take a look here at the news. Nothing fresh here. Looks like the last thing was just a PR here in the afternoon yesterday, but not even after the close. No news on this one. Looks like we're making an attempt at VWAP here. Short interest check on this one. 3.09% of the float shorted here, and that's 1.48 days to cover. That comes on a 100-day average volume of 1.7 mil. Floats 2.08 mil. Today we've traded 12.5 mil. What do you think here on SGD?
I think this is moving on Momo. It could end up going to 2, but it's got to get through VWAP first, and it's been struggling with it ever since we pretty much opened here in the pre-market session. We did get that pop up to 251, came right back in. No luck at recapturing VWAP yet. So until it can do that, I don't know where how high this price is going to go. But we do have some interesting support from the price action we had yesterday in the pre-market and the regular session. That gives us a support area of about 162. And we've already come down and tested or gotten near testing that twice in the pre-market already. That's the level I'm going to be watching for. If we lose that and have to start relying on the 200 EMA on the 5-minute as support, I'm going to be a lot less confident that this is going to go higher, at least this morning.
Yeah, I want to see this move above the VWAP. To me, there's better stuff to look at here. We'll see if it can actually clear that. Yeah.
And they also might have to raise capital. I didn't have the time to go back and see what business developments they've been having. There's a bunch of them, so I'm not sure how much is generating revenue for them. We'd have to wait until their next earnings report to kind of get an idea of that without looking. But it seems like based on their last earnings report, their balance sheet shows that they may have to raise capital.
Yeah, indeed. Here is the balance sheet for you. Okay, really good stuff there, SGD. Next here, this is TYGO, Tygo Energy. This thing popped in the after hours. 217 looks to be the high. It's come back in. We're actually at the pre-market lows here. Tygo Energy shares are trading higher after the company reported better than expected Q2 financial results and issued Q3 sales guidance above estimates. So it looks like earnings, pretty good catalyst here. We have a double top right above 210 there. This energy designs solar power conversion and storage products that provide customers with more choice and flexibility. Its mission is to deliver smart hardware and software solutions that enhance safety, increase energy yield, and lower operating costs on residential, commercial, and utility scale solar systems. So actually, this is a pretty decent one. I wonder if this is on the solar watch list. It is not. Added new one to that list here. So solar name, double top here right about 215. We've broken the VWAP. We're trying to hold the pre-market lows. We'll see if we're successful in doing that. Short interest check on this one, negligible. 0.21% of the float shorted with 1.21 days to cover. That comes on a ridiculously low average volume here, 110,000 shares on average. Boy, oh boy, don't be around when this one doesn't have catalyst going for it. Float 28.29 million. Today, we've almost traded that at 21.8 million. You think there's a trade here, TYGO?
Well, the company does have cash and revenue, but it's not yet profitable. And on this 28 million share float that it has, I could see it still continuing to climb, but I'm concerned about the 175 to 185 area. If you look at a daily chart, that's about where we got some of the more recent topping out last year in that range, and that was also previously a support area as well back in 2023 as the price is making its way down. So as we approach 175 to 185, I'm a little concerned that we're going to run into some trouble getting up there and further as a result of all the supply that's in the way. So that's kind of what I'd be looking at that's concerning. Other than that, it seems like the company's okay. I don't think that they're going to need to raise any capital. We just have to see if they're going to continue to bounce off this 200 EMA and continue to get this support around 155, 160 that it's been getting in the pre-market this morning. If we can continue to bounce off this and recapture VWAP, we'll be looking at that 175. Actually, 175, 185 is right about in the middle where VWAP is. So if we can get to 175 and over that, we'll be over VWAP.
Okay, you know, the other thing is where this thing stalled in the pre-market here, it's right back at a former area it couldn't get above. It's about 215, 218. Yeah. So that would also be a level if we end up pushing higher here. Okay, really good stuff on that one. Next is going to be IXHL, Incanix Healthcare. We are popping here on volume. This thing actually went up to 180 before coming back in. We're actually testing the VWAP right now. Incanix reports positive top-line results from Riposa, phase 2 trial of one of its drugs. Looks like it was halted pretty early here this morning, but good news out of this. Some more color here, reducing sleep apnea severity by up to 83% with a very strong safety profile. Pretty good news. Sleep apnea, from what I hear, gets in the way of marriages in some cases. So good to see that here. Quick look around the horn on this one. 5.75% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. Average volume on this 111 million. So this on average trades quite a bit. Session volume here today in the pre-market 78 million. Float on this one thicker than some of these other smaller names at 68 million. So what do you think on this one, 13?
This one I didn't catch this morning. It looks like it's a rather new mover on the list here. But looking at their cash position, it seems like they only got about a quarter and a half left to cash to burn through before they're going to have to do some kind of capital raise again. 68 million shares in the float. I'm starting to wonder if this thing might have seen a NASDAQ compliance letter or something. I've not seen it. Nothing's jumping out at me right now, but if this goes back under $1, I think that this may end up getting one of those NASDAQ compliance letters. It's got a heavy float. It's trading under $1. Looks like they have an offering on the table too for 100 million. So anyway, I didn't go over this one obviously, as you can probably tell. So I don't know the ins and outs of this one right now, but let's look at the chart. If we can get above VWAP, we might be able to see that high we put in of 178 again. That's going to be the big hurdle for me right now, getting back above VWAP, like you pointed out.
Okay, yeah, let's see what we get here in the regular session. Couple more. Did you have anything that we did not cover on your list, 13?
Nope, we hit everything.
Okay, perfect. I did just really quickly want to mention D-Pro here. This is Dragonfly. This is one that we have traded a number of times in the past. Dragonfly here, this did pop above 550, came back in. I think someone's on this one. Fubo, this is one that we have been looking at recently. Has had a really kind of a nasty move out of the open with a huge pump if you're able to sell into it. But boy, oh boy, completely round tripped, actually closed on the lows. We're higher here today, but given what we saw yesterday, I'd be very careful trusting this. I would kind of lean on your stops here. Marvell also on the list here. These shares are trading higher. Company announced collaboration with Rebellions to offer high-performance, energy-efficient AI systems tailored for regionally driven and sovereign-backed AI initiatives across APAC and the Middle East. So Marvell getting a pop here on that news, up about 10% here today. I know Marvell has been a kind of a popular chip stock recently amongst our group, so it looks like we're getting some move there. Grats if anyone took that. And then the move here today, yep, that takes us above that recent high. So we'll see what some of the next resistance levels are here on Marvell.
Congratulations to anybody that took Newegg and rode it up to like 51 yesterday. I'm still seeing that insider is continuing to buy even after all that movement. Well, not after all it, but during it. Galkin Angelica, 10% buyer, continuing to buy hundreds of thousands of shares. So not sure what to make of that as the stock it goes, it went up to 62. I'm sorry. Excuse me. But anyway, just point that out. Congratulations if you took that. That was a big mover yesterday.
Yeah, he owns 3.3 million shares now after that. So he's been buying big chunks there. And total owned shares, 3.33 million on Newegg. Okay, good stuff with the movers there. Let's flip over to the yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but how is that possible? Because the float's less than 2 million.
Yeah, I'm not sure. This is just what. Did they have a split or something here? So they did a reverse back in April. Let's go back to that insiders tab. I almost wonder if some of that. No, these are all recent. I don't know the answer to that.
Interesting. Well, we'll have to look into that some more because that might be something that could really affect the price of the stock.
Yeah, I mean, I think it might just be that. I think it might just be the total number that's incorrect here.
Okay.
I mean, just think about this. If we're looking at what 139 plus 416 plus 222 plus 111 plus 222 again plus 122, that gives us a total of 1.2 million shares thereabouts. I'm rounding. So at least the filings that we have in the insiders tab here seems to be that seems to make sense here. But yeah, the total owned shares, there might be something wrong with that calculation. They're a good spot though. You can't get anything past 13. It's insane.
Oh, sure you can. But just the outstanding shares is closer to 20 million. So I don't know if that involves any RSUs that they might have, but that they're just not buying. They already owned before they started buying all this. So I don't know. But yeah, this was kind of curious about why we were getting a read that they had 3.3 million shares and the float is less than 2. This kind of was wondering about that. But it's double top, so I'm not interested today anyway.
Okay, the two big stocks that were already on the list from this morning were Oracle. Here's Oracle. This is flashing a blue sky breakout again. This thing has just been an absolute monster recently. Oracle here up about 0.15%. The high here from the previous candle, 251.60. Actually looks like, yeah, we did take that out recently here, 253.07. Going to be your high here on Oracle. Boy, I really wish we got an island set up on this one, 13. Look at the runaway we got. We didn't pull back nearly to the edge of the gap, so that trade never set up. So hindsight's 2020, obviously, but the signal that we look for in real time never occurred. But boy, oh boy, the move higher, this was fantastic. That would have been real sweet on that. I can't remember who asked about this one earlier, if there was something else that you had tied to this or whether or not you just wanted to take a look at the chart. But but looking pretty good here. The one thing that I'll say is that this stock could probably benefit greatly from a pullback to the 20. And if it pulls back to the 20 and maybe just holds there for a couple of sessions, you probably lower this RSI enough to maybe make another move higher. Huge move recently. Stock is what? 75 points above the 200-day moving average. So just a massive move higher here on Oracle. Just wanted to look at the stock. There you go, Joel. So you just wanted to look at it. So Joel, I would say this. Are you looking to add to this? Are you looking to get into it? Are you already in it? If you're already in it, giddy up, brother. This looks pretty good. It continues to run higher. I would ask what your trade, is this an investment for long term, or are you actually looking for a target price to exit? You'll have to let me know. Looks really good here. As far as adding this back, again, I'd probably want to pull back instead of chasing this move higher.
Yeah, I'd like to see another test of the 20-day SMA. It's been a while since we've seen that.
Been a minute.
Yeah.
Been a minute. Okay, so that's Oracle. Now, Meta was the other one. Meta, this reporting earnings here tonight. All right. So Meta's up 0.8 here in the pre-market. Now we have yesterday, we actually lost the 20-day moving average. It sent Meta down towards the 50. We didn't technically print it, but boy, oh boy, we're right there. That value 694. We're at 706 right now. So really just 12 points away, not far at all. I'd really like to see this actually test it. Better still, I'd love for this to maybe peak below and then recapture it. That'd be ideal as far as the chart goes. Now, as far as the earnings here, earnings analyst estimates for Meta Platforms is $44.6 billion. The company has beaten the analyst estimates for revenue in 11 straight quarters. 13, I know this is something that you normally look at, right? When we take a look at the calendar here for earnings, we like to tell how this company is doing. Boy, oh boy, it sure has been crushing there for a while, going all the way back to 2022, I believe. Yeah, the last quarter there in 2022. Meta's just been insane recently. Obviously, the AI tailwinds really, really good for this company. Let's see if there was anything else from this preview here. Here, Freedom Capital Markets Chief Global Strategist Jay Woods said Meta stock has had mild reactions after the last 4 quarterly reports, with 3 rallies and 1 sell-off, each move being 5% or less. Woods said that the implied volatility for the current earnings day prices in a move of about 7.4%. So take that with a grain of salt. Looks like option sellers have won based on some of the movement. 13, you have any thoughts here on the Meta chart, the spots we're at, or what we might see from the earnings print tonight?
I drew a trend line that we're about to back test, and it's going to be right in the same area as the 50-day SMA. If you want to draw it yourself, you can start at February 14th of 2025. Draw it through the high of June 16th this year and keep it going. You'll see that we have already tested this once as support and got it.
So what was the second date? June what? 23rd?
14th or 16th. I'm sorry.
June 16th.
Yeah, it's right in that cluster of wicks.
It's right here. It's right here. I got you. I hear you clucking big chicken. Here we go. And you were right. That lines up nicely with that 50-day.
So, I don't like the way this price action has looked for the past couple of months. It looks kind of like it's topping out. But, depending on how these earnings could go, it could turn this thing around, especially if we get the price action that come under 700 and go down towards the 50. There's some pretty big, you pointed out 694. I like 695 to myself. That's a support area. But one area that also stands out is 725. Since we've lost the 20-day SMA, it has not been able to recapture that 725 area. So we need to get back above that 20-day SMA. I think the 50-day SMA could provide some support, but it really is going to come down to what's said in that earnings report. Now, if there's some commentary about how the Ray-Ban glasses are doing so well that people are starting to use those as a alternative computing device, that could be really interesting. And I'm not exactly sure what the stock could do, but it's something I'm going to be listening for, because they have been firing also on all cylinders with those AI glasses. I think they're really dominating in that space, and I think there's a growing ecosystem for that product. And I think it's something we should be keeping an eye on. But those are my levels I have for Meta to the downside and to the upside. Want to see 695 hold. Want to see 725 get taken out, but meanwhile, we're between the 20 and 50-day SMAs, and we need to choose direction with one of those. Okay,
really good stuff there. Good morning, Amanda. Great to see you here today. SoFi was also getting mentioned in the chat here. Look at this. To me, SoFi is pretty incredible. First of all, we went right to $25. I don't have it on this chart. Yeah, I don't have price history, but if you go way back on this, you can see that 25 level was a key level previously. Just kind of channeling our inner Mark Petrino here. Not surprised at all to see this action. Literally went right to 25, gave you this extremely bearish candle here. SoFi down 7% here today. They did an offering into this yesterday, public offering, 1.5 billion share offering. That's what sunk SoFi here. I will say, I'd like to hear what you think, 13, but I don't love this chart at all.
We're open.
Okay. Kind of nasty topping candles, 100%, Jay. That's exactly it. That's what I don't like here.
It was kind of broadening since late last year, and I had a trend line that this went up and hit, and now it's backed off of it. I'm looking for the 20-day SMA to provide support. If not there, maybe the 20-day SMA. But if we start closing underneath the 20-day SMA, I think we'll see some more downside. All right. Markets open.
Really good breakdown there.
Yep, sorry. Market's open, and it looks like the SPY is already heading lower. REPL, that's kind of sideways, trying to hold above the VWAP. BGLC, after hitting 945 in the pre-market, we dropped all the way down to VWAP, getting support from that now. We'll see if that holds up. And TYGO, that's getting a lift out of the market, or out of the open here, trying to get to VWAP. And SGD, that dropped down to 162, that exact level that I was looking for from the support from yesterday. I'm sorry, the highs from yesterday. So now we're getting a bounce off that and looking to recapture VWAP and move higher through this consolidation of the pre-market. REPL not ready for open. All right, so we will hold off on REPL because it does look like it's just kind of hanging out here, kind of going sideways out of the open. All right. BGLC, that's losing its VWAP and going lower. Next area of support is going to be about 640, but don't try to catch a falling knife, folks.
Yeah, no question. Marvell, which we talked about, this actually looks like it might take out that pre-market high on this initial power move out of the open. Visa, which reported earnings here. This has now closed the earnings gap. Wow. Yep. So we sold off yesterday. We talked about this a little bit this morning when we kind of broke down Visa's earnings for yesterday. We were looking at the daily chart, really wanted it to kind of hold this level. This intriguing here. I almost wonder if Visa can make a move above 358.
All right. So we got that hold from SGD at 162. I told you earlier this morning it could go to 2. We're almost there. We're about a few cents away.
Yeah.
So that's really all I was looking for here with SGD. What happens after this? Not sure, but when it makes its move, I'll look at it and we'll see what we can infer from it.
Okay. SGD. SML Advisory mentioning Mara up big. Mara, didn't that also have, I'm trying to think.
Earnings?
I think that also, it was earnings, but I think didn't they also get an upgrade here today? Yeah. Rosenblatt. We covered that in the morning report. Ryan, Goldfish Brain, stop it. Rosenblatt Securities maintains a buy on Mara, raising the price target there to 20. That's on the back of the double beat that they had. And I think Mara, Q2 bottom line unexpectedly flips positive as Bitcoin production improves. So now it looks like, and by the way, also options implied 6.8. We got a little bit less than that, got about 5. So even in a really good situation on this, I guess maybe it was over that a little bit earlier, but even in a really good situation, it definitely seems like premium sellers have the advantage this round of earnings. Jay here saying cyber names, awful reactions. Did I miss another comment there? Awful reactions to what? Just to the open? Yeah, actually, oh my gosh, PanW down 8.3%. That's right, because they're acquiring CyberArk.
Oh.
So we've talked about this before. We've talked about a quality acquiring company selling off on an acquisition. Is that something to buy? Is that something to swing? CrowdStrike is down. Jay, are these buying opportunities? Because this tells me that cybersecurity companies that are, I don't know, less than $1 billion, these are probably going to be acquisition targets, no? Hello, Alto on Cyber. A strategic home run, says analyst, but PanW down 8%. Let me know. This is an intriguing swing option here, I think.
Open is having a nice morning. Not up substantially, but it had a big move out of the gate from about 202 to 215. All these movers are kind of either trickling lower or kind of going sideways right now. BGLC starting to get some movement here. Here we go.
Yeah, good mention here, chat. BGLC, really good timing. Here we go. I'm going to leave this chart on 13. Yeah, I'm going to step away for just 1 sec, but I'll leave this chart up for you. BRB.
Sounds good. Okay, so Jay, you're concerned with their relationship with Hillary. Gotcha. Plus, it's expensive. Mentioned this last week. So CrowdStrike, the way this chart looks, it does look like it has kind of topped out, and the past couple months do look a little bearish. We are trading beneath the 50-day SMA right now, so I'm kind of there with you. This looks like this could come in some more. What are your targets? Because I could see how 440 might be one of the earlier ones, but I really do like. I mean, I don't think it's going to go this low, but I really do like 405. So you tell me what you like. Daniel, you're saying BGLC maybe giving an opportunity. Well, out of this halt, we're going to see what we end up getting here. And remember, the pre-market high was 945. So not sure if how much we're going to get, but this is one of the the first halt out of this, and I don't think it's going to be the last one. So we'll see if we do end up getting this pop out of the halt here, maybe taking us up to about $9, somewhere around there. I'm not going to look for any targets right now. But it does seem like this is going to try to pop out of the halt here. All right. So with that out of the way, PanW 176.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in PanW here. I want to see. Let me actually go to my bigger chart here.
Now, what is it about 176? I can kind of see how that area looks appealing, but give me a little bit more insight here at 176. For me, I mean, I'm kind of liking 173, 174, 173 actually. I really do like. But tell me about 176. What's the appeal there? Let me know.
So, why is my cursor frozen? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask. So Jay is looking at Hog. That's Harley Davidson, and they had some kind of deal with forgive me, what's KKR? KKR. Okay, it's KKR. KKR looks really interesting, actually.
Tim Melvin loves KKR. 176, this actually looks like a former resistance and support level. It's also like the middle of this low volume node. Yeah, this is basically the middle of this low volume node here. I would almost want to see this thing test 170, frankly, on PanW. That actually would be a pretty good entry point too. I guess if you're going to scale in starting right here, that would make some sense.
Now, I like the candle here with Hog. This kind of just been going sideways for good portion of the year. Now we just
I like this candle too, dude.
Yeah, just a massive pop over the 200-day SMA. Let's see this hold. If we get this to hold, I think we're going to see continued upside here. Do want to see multiple closes above this though, but this is a good start. 32 looks like a maybe just underneath 32 looks like a resistance area. Yeah, that's true, Daniel. They do. They do. All right, so let's kind of cycle through these again.
Yeah, BGLC we have halted here at 844, right? Yeah.
Still got that halted. REPL, that's down at that 65 EMA. TYGO, that's just been whipping around back and forth. It's pretty much neutral today. SGD, this went down and tested that 162. We actually printed 161 this time around beneath the VWAP right now. So I'd say as long as this 200 EMA holds, we still might see some more upside. But that would, if we start losing that, then I think that's going to be it for me with this one. I have no position in it. Sorry.
Real quickly here, FTAI. If you recall, this is one that we played on a short report. Lion absolutely cleaned up on this. I think he paid for his kid's college education or something like that. Lion absolutely cleaned up on this trade here. This reported earnings, and it's coming right back to the spot that stopped it after that recovery. 136 going to be your key level here on FTAI. Again, better than expected earnings last night. Big B's, did you dive into this report at all by chance?
We have a trend break here with that one.
Let me go back to the daily.
Is
it just from these hot? Yeah, got it.
Yeah, to start it from this year. It's all this year. This year, January 8th, dropped through the high of June 25th.
Got you. Yeah, look at
over
that. Okay, Big B's not yet. Okay, that might be something to look at here, but this is a pretty intriguing chart. Trend break, another resistance area. Maybe we pop above this. The options really pay well on this name. Tess here saying Pan W, I will absolutely jump in at 175 on Pan W. Pan W is 177. We're getting close there.
All right, let's look at these again. Still waiting for REPL to do something with the 65 EMA. BGLC is open. It did get a slight pop up, but it sold immediately. Back down to the VWAP.
Yeah, I might be careful with that one. How's that SGD doing?
SGD slightly lower from the last candle, but not selling off a whole bunch. And
EA on the scanner here, they reported earnings. EA, by the way, I was thinking about this one post earnings. I was like, we got the college football game just came out. We got football season starting. Madden's going to be on there. I was wondering about this. I actually took a look at the seasonality here for EA. Let me share this with you. It's poor. I would have to say that if seasonality wasn't this bad, I actually might take a stab at some EA calls going into December. But with this type of seasonality, I don't know. This does not look nearly as appealing as it has in the past. So I'm going to pass on EA. I am interested in anyone that thinks that there might be a trade in any of those gaming companies. I'm especially interested in that as we get closer to the holidays.
Looks like BGLC is getting some more buyers. There we go. Going positive, looking for 9. Be careful with this one. Maybe raise some stops just in case, but don't let me tell you how to trade. You guys know yourself the best.
Yeah, nice kind of a bullish candle here that held the VWAP right at that open. That was probably the entry. Would not chase this one.
Yep. And we're getting a little bit of a pull back down to VWAP and open door.
Harley Davidson continuing to push higher here. A gap and go setup on this one. I would just watch that. If you're playing a gap and go on this, I would just kind of watch the 9 EMA. We crossed, we moved above. If it loses it, you're out.
All right. Caution with REPL here. It's looking like we might be losing the 65 EMA. It just depends on how this closes. We still have 2 minutes left on this candle. BGLC getting up to that $9, just slightly above $9. Not able to go much further at the moment. Doesn't mean it still couldn't. And TYGO, we lost the 200 EMA, but recaptured it, going as low as 154. This one, the volume does not look great on, so I'm not sure how much we're going to get out of TYGO.
Hims, good mention here. Izzy Hims popping hard out of the open here. Earnings in 5 days on this, so this is going to be next Monday or the Monday coming up here after the close. Novo Nordisk chart signals weakness amid the Wegovy warning. We talked about that. Expert says it could have played out very differently if they had embraced Hims. That's what I told you yesterday when we were taking a look at that reaction.
Looks like SGD lost its 200 EMA.
So for those of you HIMS traders, and 13, actually, I've put this back on you first, but I'm curious as to what the chat thinks about this. Look at the trend line break that we have here on HIMS. Plus now we have Novo really struggling, especially with the stock price. We think that this is maybe a move to 70, maybe a move higher?
Let me see here.
I don't want to chase the 5% move here today, but pretty interesting, and that was a nice trend break. The entry on this was actually yesterday, I think. Especially on the red to green switch here and the trend line break. Yeah, this is late. This is late. Entry here is 4 points late. But I'm wondering if this has got more legs to the upside. Relative volume is low, says Kathy. Okay, thank you. Indeed, it is actually. Looks like it's just kind of pushing here. You know what that tells me, Kathy? I don't think there are other folks chasing this higher either.
I think it's going to depend on where you draw the trend line that gives you the trend break. I think for me, I'm going to want to see a tap of 67. 67 seems to be a big resistance area for me. That would definitely give us a trend break.
Okay. Yeah, Jay, I'm with you 100% on this. It sure looks like Novo's loss is helping HIMS. I think Novo says HIMS was hurting them. Yeah, and that's why I'm thinking here. That's why I'm kind of thinking ahead here. Maybe there's more of a trade in this name, bearish on Novo.
RAPL continue to go lower.
Interesting.
This might get some support around 530, and then after that, it would have to be the 200 EMA around 485.
That RAPL, that don't look great. I'll be honest with you. They don't look great at all.
Yeah, I don't like it right now either. Maybe it's one of these that comes back later, but I think you kind of pointed out, and I think to really substantially agree here, how we had the double top in the pre-market. And since then, we've been kind of going lowers here. So not sure where the support's going to kick in. Maybe it's going to be down at that 530. Maybe it's going to be the 200 EMA, but it doesn't look great at the moment. Candle is kind of indicating that it wants to try and recapture the 65, but until we start to see that, I think it's just good to stay away until then.
Hey, speaking of earnings from last night, booking BKNG, this actually sold off. The CEO was on CNBC saying that things were good. Red-green move here. This completely closed that gap. Smoke Tuna mentioning that CMG has a double bottom on the weekly. Let's take a look at that. That could be, Tuna, you're right. I think for a couple of things here. So first of all, you're right on that double bottom. I'm going to do a trend line here across from the high back from May of 2024. This would actually give us a target if we hold that. What does it look like on the daily? Okay, so we did kind of snap. We're still down here at a potential support level. This also goes back to 2024. Tuna, if this holds here, this actually might be interesting. There have been a couple of people asking about when we can trade Chipotle again. I haven't felt good about trading it, so I had it last night for dinner. But we'll see. We'll see if it holds this area. This 44, pretty interesting. Pretty interesting here if it holds.
If you would do me a favor and draw a parallel channel for the CMG. You can start with the June 2024 highs.
Okay, so where I have my trend line originating, I'm going to replace the trend line with the parallel channel you're talking about then, instead of adding it. So let me do that here real quick. Let's do that parallel channel, bang, bang, and then bang.
Yeah.
That gives you another potential support area here.
That's where I'd be looking for support.
Love it, 13. Absolutely love it, dude.
And it's really interesting how this has been behaving so well with the top and bottom of the parallel channel. So I would think that, maybe around 43. I even think we said 43 last time we talked about it.
We did.
So 43 is where I'd still like to see this test and then potentially reverse.
Jay also mentioning here, Jay, I love it, man. You are locked in today. You shoot like 68 yesterday or something. You are locked in here. Wing, this is up 25%. I'll be honest, I wish that I traded this stock more. We talked about this on Happy Hour when this was making its last huge move higher from May. We've talked about Wing a number of times. Full disclosure here, I don't trade this one, and I should. This is a miss here. Look at this move. This definitely helping some of those eateries. What a gap that we have created here.
And we had an opportunity when it double topped last year and resolved the way double tops resolve. We went
down to the bottom. Yeah, we did.
Down to the highs from 2023. So I mean, like there's probably some more opportunity here still, but it's up to you.
Here's cake. This up 5.5%. This actually close to all-time highs. Boy, Jay, if we could only get Portillo's rolling here.
And
what a disaster.
Dave & Buster's is another one we were looking at
That's
back.
Play, right?
Yeah, that was doing really well since the Liberation Day unwind. We've recently golden crossed, but we've been going sideways for a time now, kind of caught between $29 and $35.
Okay. Because they're mentioning XBP. Europe Holdings. Okay, so we had a penny stock graduating on the 6 to midnight power candle on buying volume. This thing halted here, 140 XBP.
Big of B's. I'm loving that we're still headed towards that 250 in UNH. We're less than $10 away. I think we get it.
248.88, the exact level there, but that 250 is one that traders going to have their eyes on without a doubt. And this is melting here.
Crim Biscuit, it might be nobody. It might be nobody today. Might be zero. RAPL recaptured VWAP and the 65 EMA. This is starting to look better now.
616 was that VWAP. Yeah, Joe. So Joe mentioning PayPal, man, oh man. Sometimes when you can't get out of your own way, you can't get out of your own way. I understand this is only down 0.5% here today. I actually waited this out yesterday thinking that, you know what, we'll probably price in all that bad move. Actually took a small position here. It was a starter. I took the September 77.5s. I'm down a quick, let's see, I paid $140 for those. Those are $1. So down a quick 30% there or so.
I'd say your next support's going to probably be around the 500-day SMA at 68.
Yeah. The reason I took a starter here is because I was unsure. I want to hope that we continue getting a higher low here. I want to hope that it holds this area. I don't feel great about this, though. This actually might be an L. We'll see. We got time for September, so we'll see. And looking at the broader market here today, just kind of looking at the SPY, we were up a little bit in the pre-market. We're holding on to unchanged here. Really watch 635 though.
Yeah, how did we open? Did we get what we were looking for with the repeating? So far, we are. So we're talking about how it's the last time we had a bearish engulfing candle. We opened inside that candle the following day, traded down to 618, then popped back up and closed positive.
So let me draw a hypothetical for you, 13. Could we possibly repeat that here today if Powell during his press conference is all of a sudden dovish or something like that? What do you think? You think we could have a repeat here today?
I'm not going to rule it out, but
yeah.
I think that would be really interesting to get an exact repeat of that. If anything, we're probably going to rhyme, as the market tends to do.
Yep.
So what we might end up seeing is not an exact, sell off and then recapture all that, buy that dip back up. It could just be that we just kind of end up neutral. But I don't know at this stage. There's just not a lot of price action. How much volume have we traded today? Less than 6 million. So
I got to think that SPY traders here, they got to be waiting for the Fed decision, right? They got to be waiting for the FOMC. That's what I'm thinking here. Good morning, Rustam. It's good to see you again. Ed here saying, thanks for sharing your loss. I'm not the only one making donations. I can go a little bit further, Ed. I have been kind of backing off the accelerator here just because things haven't really looked or felt great. Let me tell you something. My small caps, the ones that I've been holding, they're not new trades. They're the ones that I've been talking about. The last 2 days have been brutal. So I can assure you, you're not the only one staring at red arrows. If you're just a day trader and you're just in and out and you're flat at the end of the night, a lot of that depends on your intraday action. But boy, oh boy, the last 2 days here, not been great for some of those small cap stocks at all. So you're definitely not the only one. I've had a pretty brutal week, to be honest.
And we did get the GDP, figure out this morning, which is one of the metrics that the Fed looks at for their rate decision. Now that it's up, 50 basis points higher than the estimates, and of course Trump pumping the GDP result on Truth Social, kind of makes you wonder how's Powell going to address the fact that GDP is higher than expected. I mean, it's something to watch for.
That was
we're going to get that.
3% versus the 2.5% estimate.
Yeah, we're going to get that, and then tomorrow we're going to get the jobless claims and PCE, and then Friday we're going to get the BLS jobs report on tariff day. Fun week, everybody.
Yeah, definitely a fun week. Okay, so someone was asking earlier if we think that we get a 25 basis rate cut here today. I think he was asking generally to the group if anyone thinks that. I don't know that this person necessarily thinks that. Personally, I do not.
No, I don't think so. I don't think they're going to cut rates. I don't think they're going to raise rates.
Pete's calling for a rate hike.
I don't think that's happening.
I don't either, but I don't want to ever really pretend I know what the Fed's doing. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not trying to look into their brain. I'm just kind of looking at what they're looking at.
Yeah. V-Wave, one from yesterday, or was this the day before maybe? V-Wave here, big power candle right up to the consolidation area. This was from Monday.
REPL continuing to recover, still above VWAP right now, running into some of the support turn resistance area from the pre-market around 630.
Now, I'm just going to go ahead and maybe this is preemptive here because I suspect some of you were trading V-Wave. Anyone that traded V-Wave here today, grats on the register ring. Jay here saying that wing, shat, cake, etc. make it more confusing in the CMG move. Amanda saying, I don't think the data supports a cut here. I'm in agreement with that. SML advisory saying they will hold. Zach saying Powell won't cave. It will send a bad signal. I agree with that too. You know what was interesting about that is that it does seem like since that visit, since Trump's visit to the actual Fed, it does seem like the tone has changed a little bit. We actually had a story here regarding the Fed, and they spotted it. Here's the quote. Let me see. Who did this come from here? This is Crypto Insight UK. Made a couple of quotes here. Quote, something has changed since Trump went to visit Powell at the Fed, referencing Trump's shift in calling Powell an idiot to calling him or describing him as a good man. So we all know Trump can be hot or cold at the flip of a dime. Looks like they're doing that here on Powell. I almost wonder if he suspects something is. I don't know. I don't necessarily know how to read on that. You're calling BS on that?
I call BS. He hasn't shifted from calling him an idiot to a good man. He just posted on True Social. He's still being called too late.
Yeah, well, too late's different than an idiot, isn't it?
It's a name that's not his given name. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Oh, looks like I lost my layout here. Let me go ahead and load that up. Boop, boop.
Beth, it's really just about how the market reacts to it. Not so much what he says, but how the market reacts to it. None of these movers looking particularly good today. I don't think there's any hope for them to be 100% runners. BGLC, this thing is look like it's about to go much lower.
XBP looks like this is going to be a 2 test coming here. TYGO, this was a great call, 13. Looks like that is rolling over here. V-Wave looks like it pulled off that 10 spot. I'd keep an eye on that spot. NNE, this actually on the scanner because some pretty good opening buying volume here on NNE. Just going to check SMR for giggles.
And while you do that, I'll look at Oklo. We'll get the whole family together.
There we go. So
Same
all
price
these
action.
moving in unison. Yep.
So now I want to look at some of the other names that go along with all those. So let's see, quantum, like QBTS. That's up a little bit. Some of these quantum names are up, a decent amount, like 2-3%. Let's look at here. IRQ. It's up 1%. So we did get some lift out of the gate here with some of these quantum names that they've sold off since.
Oscar, which got asked about earlier, I am seeing some puts get bought into Oscar here. Not huge, 330 contracts. This is for the August weekly. Oh, no, excuse me. That's for this week. So looking for some more down move. And actually, that's a 1650. That might be a closing trade there on Oscar. Oscar here trading up. I suspect that's a closing trade, actually. Maybe we've bottomed here on Oscar. We'll see. Ticker OSCR. PayPal in free fall here. So the one other thing here about this is where we talk a lot about position sizing, managing risk. We kind of use general terms when we're talking about it. Here's a really good example of how controlling your opening position can really kind of keep you safe here. I'm losing on this. This position's down. Like I said, I paid $140 for those calls. They're 98 cents now. So this is a pretty sizable haircut overnight here. But because this position is small, I'm not really panicking. I'm not terribly concerned. I obviously don't want to lose money, but I'm not terribly concerned here. And as we just outlined, there might be some more supports not far away, namely $68. So I'm going to keep watching it. I'll let you know if I add to that position at all or if I take a new position on that. I'd watch Orion 13 Fed meeting. Pete, you know what? That's actually really good feedback. I've thought about this before. I haven't asked 13 about it. I don't know what his schedule entails in the middle of the day, but I've thought about this before. We often stream some of these conferences. I've thought about maybe doing some commentary. The big problem is that every one of these meetings, I have a pro product meeting for work that I just can't skip. I actually lead that meeting as well, so I can't really get out of it. It makes trading the actual decision tough. I normally have to trade around that. I'll think about that, though. That's something that would be fun, right? Some knee-jerk reactions to all of that stuff, commenting on his tie color and whether or not he's hawkish or dovish.
It'd be a lot of mudslinging.
SUPX, this is Super X AI technology. This did pop to 25 in the pre-market, round trip to the entire move. Now we're right back on. Grats if anyone was trading this one. This one not even on my radar here today.
Yeah, it's not looking like the greatest of days again.
No, it isn't. Around here, Netflix making a move back towards 1200. We'll see if Netflix can do that. Palo Alto tried to bounce. I've got your low here, 176.56. Current price 177. Test. It doesn't look like we got that 174 and change level. And Palo Alto would need to take another leg down in order to reach that. Costco, by the way, also selling off. I think we talked about 920 in the happy hour as being a support level for Costco. That price 932, so pretty close to that potential support level on Costco. Ryan, did you go over Hood? No, we never got to that preview because we ran out of time. Really quickly, we can do that, and then we'll take a look at the chart here. Analysts expect Robinhood to report second quarter revenue of $899 million. That would be up from $682 million in last year's quarter. God, this company is smoking. Company has beaten the analyst estimates in revenue in 2 straight quarters in 7 of the last 10. So it's got a pretty good track record there. Analysts have been raising their price targets for Robinhood stock ahead of quarterly results. We always talk about how much we like that. Company has been reporting strong monthly figures in recent reports. The May update, the company reported that crypto trading volume was $8.6 billion in April and $11.7 billion in May. Compare that to the $7.1 billion in May of the previous year. Obviously, we had the big moves in Bitcoin and Ethereum. and it closed its acquisition of Bitstamp on June 2nd. So this earnings report, there's probably going to be a lot in here.
Sounds like an opportunity to sell.
And that's why I wanted to set the chart up here. You're thinking ahead already, 13. I just love that. Here is your chart. Let's go to Hood. Clicked on the wrong thing. I'm sorry about that. Here's your Hood chart. Man, it sure looks like we're staying here up near all-time highs. So what do you think? You think that this is due for a pullback here, 13?
After running 280% since the Liberation Day unwind, I think that it could do well with a little bit of cooling off. I mean, how many of these names have we seen where they beat earnings and that EPS and their revenue, but they sold off, even if they guided higher?
Yeah, let's see.
I just think we could see some profit taking in Hood. Take care, Brett.
Have a good one. Here, a look at Hood here. Looks like the market makers are pricing in a $9 move here. So that's what? Just under 9%. Yeah, 934 is what they're predicting here. Stock price is just shy of 106. So it looks like just under 9% is what the options are implying.
Maybe it continues to ride. I mean, grind higher. But I feel like with how much it's gone on, it'd be a good opportunity to take profit.
Yeah, Boogie, what are you thinking on this one? Do you have a position on this? Are you thinking about taking a position? By the way, SUPX right up here at the pre-market high. Is this stock halted? Let's see. This is halted right at the high, 10 cents shy of your pre-market high, which was exactly 25. SUPX.
Looks like a lot of these movers that we're looking at today are trying to get a little bit of a turnaround going here. It's pretty slow, though. Volume's not great in any of these names.
Carvana reporting tonight?
Yeah, we've been getting asked about that right now.
Yeah, we sure have. Yassine, I know Yassine is out there waiting for this Carvana report.
Really needs to hold that 50. I mean, we talked about this earlier. It's caught between the 50 and 20 SMAs. And Pan W held the volume node just above thin zone, putting in my starter here. Too much opportunity, long dated. Get it, Tess.
Tess, are you doing shares? Are you doing an options trade with a defined time frame? What are you thinking there on the Pan W trade? I love it.
Waiting to see if we do get some turnaround here in these mover names from this morning. Looks like TYGO is trying to get turned around here. Don't like the volume. We're still beneath a lot of moving averages, but it is getting going here. So we'll see what it can do.
What was there was another stock that had a Bitcoin treasury move here this morning.
This morning?
Yeah, I'll find it. I just can't remember. The ticker is F something. Let me see if I can find it here.
Not FTAI. Is it
no.
FSS? Looking through the movers list. Those are just the three that I see that start with F, unless it's this OTC FGF.
FGF. It was FGF. Fundamental Global raises $200 million in a private placement to launch an Ethereum treasury strategy on Ethereum's 10-year anniversary. Ticker FGF. I knew I saw it somewhere. I wanted to check in on that. Let me go back to my main workspace. I don't know if that's a decent trade here. Let me see. FGF. Frank Golf Frank.
Looks like RAPL is trying to hold above VWAP and retake the 15 EMA.
Oh, my God. So look at this. Look at the chart here real quick. Here's FGF. This thing has gone negative by 10% after moving from about $23 up to 75 in the pre-market and coming all the way back in. I got to say, I think that these Bitcoin treasury plays, they're really struggling. And I think that if you're not in an initial pop, I don't know that trading them is really going to be fruitful. On the other side of that, if you happen to own one of these companies overnight and you wake up to a headline like that, I think the prudent move is to sell.
Yeah, I've seen that not too many of these crypto treasury names last too long. There's only been a couple that have really stuck around and made some good trading opportunities. And I think that was BM&R and SBET.
And BM&R did an offering right after Kathy bought.
And Robert still killing it with Circle and SMCI.
SMCI has had a pretty good week.
Yeah, finally got out of the consolidation channel it's been in for a while. Coming up to the 660, the 6650 highs back from February.
Amanda here spotting an Anne-Marie like trade. Maybe we should ask Anne-Marie about Pan W. How funny would it be, Amanda, if she comes up with the exact same trade that you do? Amanda here looking at a Pan W Iron Condor 220, 230, and 160, 170. It's giving you way over 1/3 the width of the strikes. That's the expiry for September, right? That's the monthly contract. Okay, good stuff there, Amanda.
I think the chat really wants us to look at XBP.
Yeah, we have been. Webcoin, we've been reading the chat here today.
So there's your 100% runner. And what is this? Finally, our first pull here after getting over, 90-something RSI, 92?
This had 4 legs up before it finally pulled.
All right. Meanwhile, BGLC continuing to go towards its 65 EMA. RAPL still trying to recover. TYGO also curling, but beneath every moving average we look at. And SGD is also trying to curl, same situation as TYGO. I think that's all the movers we were looking at this morning. It's got to get that. Rocket report, says Robert. They report after the bell, right? Yes. No, tomorrow. Tomorrow, July 31st. Back above 15, though. Well, what's looking good to everybody?
World Charles liberated from USA. LOL on the handle. Did they raise, lower, or keep rates the same? Boss, that hasn't happened yet. We're all expecting them to keep them the same, but that doesn't happen until 2 Eastern.
Yep. And then we get to hear Powell talk about it.
What color tie? Purple?
We'll see. I'm sure one of the things that Trump had said to Powell when he visited him is wear a red tie.
I don't think he told him that, but that would be something. Here's Fubo. Good mention here, Izzy. What a power move through the VWAP there.
Yeah, recapturing 4, looking for 413, the session high.
Yeah, Robert here listing some of the reports. I guess I should have done this earlier, Robert. I appreciate that. Here you go. AEM. Where's Lion, by the way? His favorite miner here reporting tonight. AEM, Allstate, Robinhood, EQX, Meta, Lam Research, Microsoft, Qualcomm, ARM. You guys are also talking about Coin. Did you say Rocket reports?
Tomorrow,
right? I was going to say, I'm pretty sure Rocket is not tonight.
Yeah, that's tomorrow after hours.
There's a look at your stocks reporting here tonight.
Well, it looks like we're starting to get a little bit of a lift here in some of these names. REPL, still trying to grind through that supply of the pre-market. SGD now, well, it was at 150 a second ago.
Wing, by the way, which we talked about, this actually made the scanner list. It looked like it tried to bounce there briefly. REPL still flirting with breaking out from this area.
Wingstop 350 support area.
XBP is pulling. So let me ask the group here. Where is there a trade here? This holds VWAP. What do we have here? VWAP 204. So what do we think? We're approaching that right now.
REPL getting a little bit more movement here.
XBP 204 test coming. Sorry, 13.
It's okay. Looking to take out 650. That's where the next concentration of sellers are at in REPL. BGLC doesn't have the same kind of volume. It's looking like REPL might be getting the most attention at the moment. Gold trend reversal. Oh yeah, it certainly got taken down today. Let's see what a daily chart looks like.
Rocket here down 1% ahead of this FOMC meeting.
Gold is the gold is looking like it's been kind of coming off the highs for a couple of weeks now. Kind of bouncing around in a consolidation area, but it looks like it's trading up into an ascending triangle. So if we do get a reversal here at some point soon, I'm going to be looking for a break above, I guess, 217, 218 eventually. I'm sorry, 317. I'm looking at GLD, by the way.
Yeah, sorry, I was just doing something here for work.
No, it's okay. So Big Bear is looking at 302.50. I like that area too, but I think that we are going to reverse and trade back up at some point and trade and resolve this ascending triangle that we're in.
XBP is so far bouncing from this VWAP here. I think this is a fairly easy trade if you're going to try this. Tight stops, probably put it right at or under VWAP, depending on what your entry was here. Nice little push off of that. If this really can get rolling here, 236.7 possible. New highs possible if it takes that out. XBP bouncing off the VWAP so far.
Very muted day. Well, I mean, we have seen some, but for the most part, pretty muted. And how many shares have we traded in SPY today? We hit 10 yet? No. I think you're right.
PayPal looks like the selling has stopped so far as it's trying its best to hold 70. Let's be sure we check in on that later. Sorry, 13.
It's okay. I was just laughing about how you might be right about this. Nobody's really doing anything until we get that rate decision.
Yeah, that would make sense, and we'll see what that does here for the market. SUPX, this broke that high. Someone asked me what I thought about this. This was the first time I've ever looked at this stock here today. So I think it's making a move. Really, the takeaway from what we're seeing here is this volume. This kind of gave you the intraday trade. Looks like it's struggling with $30 now on the upside. SUPX. There's Lion. Good morning, Lion. We were just talking about AEM, which reports tonight, your favorite gold miner. We'll see what that ends up doing here. Also, Robinhood reporting tonight. Izzy mentioning HIMS again. HIMS had a huge rip out of the open. What's going on with this, Izzy? Right back up towards the highs. It's still watch 65 on HIMS. And Pan W here. Joe, Pan W slithering its way to 180 here. Tess might be on to something. I know we talked about our level there, 174 and change or 175-ish. Palo Alto here, maybe it's done. We'll see if this can reclaim. What level did we have here on this? This was what? That's the trend line, I think, that 13 was. I don't know what's going on with that. Well, no, I had a different line in there. Not sure what that is. No, 184. That is the trend line. I beg your pardon. Yeah, that is the trend line. I'd watch for a recapture of that if we can get that. That's still 5 points away, but boy, that would be pretty good. V-Wave. You guys are on V-Wave here as one of the movers.
Let's see.
GlaxoSmithKline CEO on CNBC right now, talking with her hands. She looks extremely excited. Stock's up 3.5% on the back of its quarterly results.
Yeah, V-Wave right to its 200 EMA on the daily. Was this a former SPAC? I wonder if I asked that question before. I'm just asking because there's a lot of sideways price action around 10, which is indicative of SPACs. Oh, no, wait, hold on. My chart just adjusted. No. That's weird. But anyway, yeah, we're coming back up to that 200 EMA, and the topping out area seems to be around 12.15. But I think we need to recapture that 200 EMA on the daily before we hit that price.
Beth Dutton Steady saying, did anyone other than Paul Meeks buy NVIDIA at 86.66? I actually did not. That was not great. Honestly, NVIDIA, that in hindsight, that looks pretty obvious. But as a reminder, Tim Melvin first bought NVIDIA at 10. So I know he didn't buy that price, but he first bought it at 10. Lion here doing a big time victory lap here today. Hood, Hims, Humana, AEM, NEM, GDX. Too many wins, Ryan. Lol. Trump said I'm tired of winning. Lion. Glad you're having a good morning, though, my man.
RAPL, here we go. Held VWAP. Now we're moving higher. Looking to retest those highs we were getting in the pre-market of 706. Do we triple top or do we take it out? Rhett has AMD at 75, so he's having a good time.
Eric, this is interesting. Working at the Apple store in Miami, after 3 people came in asking for NVIDIA GPUs, I bought the stock. Someone came into an Apple store and said, hey, do you guys sell NVIDIA GPUs? That seems out of place.
Would they think you're a micro center?
Beth saying, I sold Palantir at 44. Please don't judge me. Ain't nobody judging you. You weren't around at the time. We had a person in this chat literally calling for a short every day on Palantir from 30. So there will be no judgments of anybody that sold this early. I mean, this run was incredible. I was in a butterfly that was like, I think 350% when we ended up closing that. I think I sold that one too early. Actually, probably should have parted that fly out and left the high calls on to the very end. But again, hindsight's 2020.
We're getting a lot more with V-Wave here now. 1150 is the high. That one's probably one of the better movers this morning. Yeah, NVIDIA's they've because they're for their Switch 2, absolutely. But yeah, I think they've been partnered with them for some time, but certainly for their Switch 2 console.
How is that, by the way? Did you get that?
Yeah, I did. Remember, I walked into a Best Buy the day after it came out.
Oh, that's right, with your son. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
avoided all the lines and just walked up and well, we went into one. They said they didn't have any, but they found where there were more. We went to that store and got it. So. Oh,
that's right. So I actually have a similar story to that. When the PlayStation 3 came out, okay, I was in college. I was in Bloomington. And I figured to myself, oh, college kids, they're going to be at the bar. Ain't nobody camping for a PlayStation the night before. So I rolled over there right when it opened the next day. Sure enough, people had been camped there for days. I guess I should have known. College kids, they didn't have that much to do here. They were all sold out. I'm walking up and down the aisle, and one of the Best Buy employees comes up to me, and he's like, yo, we actually just got a couple of more PlayStations through FedEx. Do you want one? Because I was looking at all of the games, and I was reading. I was like, hell yeah, I want one. Yeah. And I ended up walking out with a PlayStation that day. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and boy, oh boy, was I lucky.
Oh boy. I don't have an opinion on the console right now. They just don't have enough games for it. But hey, the kids are happy, so there's that.
Hey, happy wife, happy life. And if the kids are happy too, 13's got a lot of stuff rolling in his direction. XBP, so that bounce that we had off that VWAP, very, very short-lived, pulled right back down to the 9 EMA It's trying to bounce off that, but be careful with this one. This might also be short-lived.
Getting a mention from Smoke Tune about LDXO. This is a biotech company that received FDA breakthrough therapy designation earlier this month. I don't see it moving on anything right now, but the short interest is 18% with 12 days to cover. So we might be getting a squeeze here.
Robert, great job on the FTAI Circle and Marvell, frankly. Gunny says, boy, oh boy, I love it. I can try and come up with more boomer phrases. I'm the only person I know that still uses the term better still, an old English term.
REPL, here we are. Highs of the pre-market. Do we break through or we triple top in here?
This is an interesting spot here, REPL. Market popping in the 5-minute candle, S&P futures and SPY. Did I miss something here?
Is there a tweet?
No, I do have a mention here. First Squawk mentioning China Commerce Minister meeting executives from Boeing and Apple. While that's not directly tied to a deal, that would be pretty important, I feel like.
There was some comments out of the White House on India trade and China trade. So maybe there's some comments there that are giving the market a temporary lift. It's the White House's Hassett speaking on Canada. And
yeah, so I'll read that here for you. Reuters reports that White House Hassett speaking on India trade says Trump is frustrated with progress. Trump thinks tariffs will help the situation. Trump and Greer will have more information on additional penalties shortly. India might reconsider their practices. Speaking on China trade, says Trump to be briefed later today. Trump will probably want changes before the agreement is announced. So those are your Hassett comments. That was from Reuters, so that wasn't even on CNBC. Market here popping on that, though, unless it's popping on something else. I don't see anything else here.
REPL popped up slightly over those pre-market highs and kind of just hanging out here right now. Smoke to the saying that it has a strong ceiling at 7.
Yeah, Iowa Hawkeyes sports. What's the outlook for the Iowa football team this year? Just out of curiosity.
Let's see, which company owns ATI right now? Because that was what consoles, several consoles were using at one point for graphics and systems on a chip. There was also, but they've also been using NVIDIA. I'm trying to think what else. I can't think of it right now, but they have NVIDIA has been working with other consoles before. Intel was also in Xboxes at one point as well.
So Humana reported better than expected quarterly results here. It's been a fade from the pre-market high on Humana. See what this daily chart looks like. Went right to the resistance area and stopped there.
BMNR up 8%.
Now that's recovering after the offering, right? BMNR?
I think so. Yeah, well, they announced a repurchase program. Was it an offering they also did?
No, I'm thinking from the drop here on, what was this? Monday? Let me go back there.
Yeah, because the recent news they've had yesterday, which they announced a $1 billion repurchase program. All right.
Yeah, that was the $1 billion purchase program. No, there was something else on this, I thought.
So REPL backing off of 7 a little bit here. BGLC down to the 65 EMA, trying to get support there. TYGO looks like it reversed at 142, trying to recapture some of these smaller EMAs right now. SGD, new lows. And then V-Wave, after it hit 1150, it backed off. It's still above VWAP. Oh, no, I understand, Beth. That's why I own AMD. Yeah, just kind of looking for something here. Looks like we're getting more movement here in REPL. 725 now the high.
So the offering was the $2 billion equity offering. That was back on July 9th. So I had my time frame a little bit mixed up there, 13. So the other news there was far more recent. Sorry.
No worries.
Pan W, Parker's Thinkorswim indicator. I bought the Pan W dip. Really good stuff there. Tess, you must be rocking on that. Really good entry, Tess. Called live on your entry too. And a really good job. You had a target price in your mind. You said, I don't think this is going to get there. I'm going to try something else. Well done, Tess. Well done on all of you that got in on Pan W here.
We're almost at 10 million shares traded in SPY, and we're almost at the 10:30 bye-bye volume time. At the time when we see the volume leave the market. UPS new 52-week lows. The loss of Amazon deliveries was a sledgehammer. At the same time, they had awful margins. So they're not. The thing that's hurting them is that they pulled guidance. Now, if that's any indication of where the economy's headed, because FedEx reacted to that too, I'd be some bearish times ahead. Looking for a starter position in AMD. Don't know that.
Don't you want to pull back? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see where we would want to have. We might come back into where we previously made a high before we pulled back on July 17th. So what was that high? About 162. Doesn't seem like too bad of an area.
Captain Cloudy here, really good stuff. Bought some calls on Pan W. 183 is the target there on Pan W. Folks, anyone interested, just as a reminder here, anyone interested in the webinar tonight, it will be another powerhouse with Tim Melvin and Anne Marie and myself. We're going to be discussing how to find undervalued stocks using Benzinga Pro on your own. We're also going to be talking about Benzinga Edge and how you can immediately start using an Edge subscription to make money. Tim's income portfolios are in there. A lot of the stocks that you folks wait for Tim to mention on the morning program, similar stocks are in that portfolio. We're going to be covering a lot of that stuff here tonight. Go ahead and scan that QR code. It's, of course, a free webinar. And then if you've been on the fence at all about Pro or about Benzinga Edge, I'm suspecting there's going to be a bit of a discount tonight. So just throwing that out there.
Discount
an hour.
Edges, man, folks, I think you should hit the like.
I love what you're doing there. I love what you're doing there. And you know what? We don't have, we did have 3D earlier. She's done a great job of reminding all of us to please like and subscribe. It's a free way of supporting us, and it is greatly appreciated.
And it looks like some of these movers from this morning that were on our movers list are starting to reverse. Getting a little bit of a reversal out of BGLC, though the volume's not great. I'm not too sure about that. We are getting a little bit of a pullback on REPL after hitting 725. TYGO also still curling up, still having to make its way through some of these smaller EMAs. And we also are trying to get a reversal happening here in SGD. Otherwise, it's awful.
Amanda saying, I keep meaning to go to those just to say hi. Amanda, one of the other things that you could do is just the praise for Anne Marie, the well-earned praise, I should say. But the well-earned praise for Anne Marie and the value of some of those. I think one of the things that happens is when we start talking about multi-leg options, there's a feeling out there for newer traders that they can't do it. And it's great to see people that can do it and learn from her. So I don't know, just throwing that out there. Yeah, Tess, really good stuff here. Tess, you had said earlier, just talking to you about your trading strategy here, I'm curious myself. You had talked earlier about taking options and stock on this. Do you have a specific percentage gain on those options where you might peel a little and book some of those gains? and then still have exposure via stock or maybe a partial of the options position that you didn't sell? How are you managing an exit, especially if you get quick appreciation like this here today? I know it's early. I know it's only 10:30 in the morning here, so you got plenty of time. Just wondering how you play that. That was just crispy tip-top entry. I guess I shouldn't say tip-top. You entered it at the bottom, but you know what I mean. It was really good.
Yeah, Beth, that poll here in FCX, Freeport McMorran, it's had a great run, but it's now coming down to the 500 and the 50-day SMAs. This is an area where I think it needs to find support. Don't want to see it go a whole lot lower. It might, but I don't want to. I prefer that it doesn't. I'm not in this right now. I'm just looking for another opportunity in this one.
Lion, take care of yourself. Enjoy the rest of your vacation. I gotta say, just on a personal note, the fact that you're going for a hike in the Smoky Mountains today, I am so jealous. I wish I could do that. I could use a good hike. Yes, Knights. This is a really good question. Knights Lance. I love that handle. Ryan, I can't attend the seminar tonight, but if I register, can I have access to the recording? Yes. So I'll make this easy for you folks. First of all, if you register, you will automatically be resent the recording, but that recording doesn't get sent until the next day. So if you wait for it that night, you're not going to get it tonight. You will get it tomorrow. Furthermore, if you come in here, I think 3D did this. There were a couple of you that were asking for the replay last time. I'll make sure I have that link, and I'll be happy to share it with you folks, even if you didn't register. But if you want it automatically sent to you, definitely register for that. Even if you don't show up, you'll get the email. Bro, take a hike, says Nadeem. Not missing an opportunity to get it in there. I love where your head is at and the effort, frankly.
Yeah, Izzy, I think you're right about that. This thing just got taken down. It's back under $1 and making even. Did we actually go down to 82? 82 cents was the low yesterday. We almost got there. I think we're a penny off.
Right back to Pennyland. Right back. D-Pro, seeing some calls get bought here. The 5 calls active, 1,000 of those. That's only a 100K trade there, but D-Pro moving through the VWAP as we speak. Some decent volume on that, plus the option flow. Who was on D-Pro earlier? Can't remember who that was.
I don't remember, but we are still getting some better movement in these movers from this morning. REPL looks like it wants to try for 725 again. BGLC still holding above its 65 EMA, although the volume looks like crap. TYGO, this is still trying to get back above some of these EMAs. SGD trying to do the same. It looks like it's starting to curl up. There might be some hope here in SGD. FGF, that's also curling back up. This one was another one that you were mentioning that had the Bitcoin Treasury.
Yep.
This, or maybe it was a different crypto, but 1770 was the low here. This also trying to recapture its VWAP.
Yeah, it was Ethereum, but yeah. It's still a crypto treasury play.
So producer mentioning that PTHL had a drop of 94% after a bear cave report. So that sounds like it could be a opportunity.
I don't know this company, but let's take a look at it. Well, I know the short reports have been big payers for us.
Yeah, they have.
God, this went from $30 to 80 cents.
Whoa.
What, dude?
Talk about wipeout.
For any of you that don't have Pro and don't have access to the link, here it is, throwing it in the chat for you. $441 million is being manipulated by overseas stock manipulation groups and is at risk of a near-term severe stock collapse.
And this is healthcare technology?
Yeah, overseas scammers have promoted that Phaeton stock on rumors that Gilead will soon acquire or partner with Phaeton, which is an anticipated transaction date of August 6, 2025. The unsubstantiated rumors match a familiar pattern in which overseas stock scammers promote tightly held U.S.-listed Chinese companies on the basis of spurious M&A rumors, only for them to later experience sudden intraday stock collapse, often falling 90% or more. Oh, I don't know that this is a short report that we buy, or excuse me, a stock that you buy on the short report. Folks, that is, and this happened yesterday. This is day 2. Stock's down another 51%. Yeah, look, you guys make your own decisions about your investments and your risk here. To me, just what I read there, that screams a no buy. Stock's 80 cents, but man, oh man, that's bad news.
Yeah.
Whew.
How big is that list now, Webcoin? Smoketon also mentioning V-Wave. So is Gary. Must be making some big moves. Sure enough, here we are back up over 11, looking for that 1150 high that we put in about 15 minutes ago.
Man, so Sarepta, the day before yesterday, popped in the after hours, bled in the pre-market, spent all day's session yesterday bleeding, higher in the pre-market here again today, but going sideways. I don't think this might not be over either. Smoke Tuna mentioning that Archon getting a volume pop here. This is a blast from the past. Archon actually had a huge move yesterday. Looks like we're trying to take out the pre-market after hours high area.
That is quite a list there, Webcoin. I even remember some of those. I remember Walk. That was hilarious. That thing was such a piece of crap.
Yeah. Good. Webcoin, appreciate you sharing your list here. When you guys track individual stuff and then you share it with the group to help everybody, that's awesome. And PHH, Wiss was mentioning PHH earlier. It's on Webcoin's list. You guys are sharp. Jay, you weren't here for my opener today. Did you see that Mullen changed its ticker to BINI? Did you see that? Don't get scammed, guys. Don't get scammed. When this 5-cent piece of junk reverses and then launches a crypto strategy, partner with NVIDIA PR and goes 600%, we brought it to you here. This is actually Mullen. Bollinger Innovations. Oh, for heaven's sakes, man. I know. I know. I want to be more serious, but I just can't help but laugh.
Yeah, I think that would have been a little too obvious, Zach, because it deserves that name for sure. But it's a small company, so Benny is what it gets.
Damn, Amanda, that's damn. Do I have it on the soundboard here?
Cold-blooded.
There it is. I got it. I remembered. Oh, Amanda's just out here throwing daggers, dude. Yikes. But I also didn't know that you're a swim coach. My dad was a swim coach, so I guess that evens out.
V-Wave, here we are looking at 1150, trying to tap it. There's a big seller in the way. It's probably the only seller I see for a little while here. The only big one anyway.
Here we go. Tess, I appreciate this. I asked you a direct question. You took time to type this out, and for that, I appreciate you. I usually start to trim and take gains if the option position, I believe, hits 30% right away. Even in this case, and though I have time, I already took some off the table, and I have some price targets, so I'll hold the rest for these and start taking profit 180, 184, so about 182. Tess, I think this is extremely measured and mechanical. Well done here. Nice buy on that. Nice buy on that. You almost got that 181 price target that you had too.
Wes is mentioning IXHL has an oversold opportunity possibly.
Fairchild, go ahead, bro. I already lamented the fact that we lost 2 games to the Brewers here. The Cubs are in free fall right now. This trade deadline, they need 2 pitchers pronto. But GG, your team definitely turning the screws on the Cubs right now.
Here's 150 in V wave. We just printed that again, backing off a little bit. Now it looks like they just loaded up a seller to pull it back down. Getting a little whippy here in V wave.
There's wisdom. Look, there he is. You've been throwing up the pot leaf signal for days. He finally shows up. I think when he opened his car door, we saw blunt smoke just plume out of it.
Do you think Lion looks up in the sky for the Thundercats logo when we're looking for him?
Yeah, Brian. So this is something else that a lot of traders have kind of discussed at some point. The games that these companies play in order to kind of stay out of sight and really kind of draw in new investors, this shit's got to stop, dude. I like this idea here. I think you have a really good idea. There should be a rule that if you have over X offerings or splits, maybe combine those, you cannot change your ticker, because very clearly this is a move towards deception. Brian, I like that.
Yeah, I think there should be a limit to how many reverse splits you can do. Can't get it in a certain number. That's it.
Jay, the good news is that if you buy Mullen, you only have a nickel of risk. Why would I want to donate nickels, Jay?
You're kind of donating pennies. I'm just kidding.
Ryan Wiss saying I got a golf trip booked to Cancun at the end of August. Oh, dude. So I actually have 2 golf trips at the end. We might as well discuss that here real quick. I have 2 trips booked at the end of August. Now, what that means for you folks, because I know you don't care about my vacations, what that means here, looking ahead to next month, Friday, August 15th and Friday, August 22nd, I will not be here. We're going to have 13 and Kevin carrying the load. All right, so August 15th, August 24th. First one is to Arkansas. Second one is to Michigan.
All right. Show us pictures when you get back.
I am sure that I will have pictures for that. I'm actually playing in a tournament that my friend won for his son's school. So it's a charity event. Should be a lot of fun, and it's a scramble. So should be fun. V wave, excuse me. VWAV still holding up near the highs. That's interesting. This SUPX, pulled off of that impulse high that it set.
Yeah, they loaded up even more sellers at 1150, but let's see if it gets taken out here. There it is. Illuminating now.
Nick says the last time I was in Mexico was during August, and it was like walking on the sun itself. Oh God, the heat.
I feel like producers is making Hans Gruber jokes.
Dude, the producer he makes all the jokes. He's got some quick wit too.
Some of these movers finally coming back. TYGO knocking on the door of its 200 EMA on the 5-minute. REPL hasn't been able to get back above 725. As a matter of fact, we've gone lower since then, but haven't gone lower than the open.
Look at this HIMS move. Still no chill on that. HIMS here, 66 coming now. Wing Trader, I am finishing up my 5th season this year. 5th season. Ooh, I actually just saw OKLO on the scanner there. We were taking a look at some of those nuke names. We took a look at that impulse move on the nuke names. Looks like they're trying to take their next leg higher, maybe even back to that trend line. Let's take a look at some of the other ones and see if this is a sector-wide move. Indeed, all these charts look the same. Next leg engaged here on the nuke names. I guess SMR, your lagger there.
He does put the zing in.
Yeah, he does.
Well,
Ed, are you calling me a dead load? Damn, Ed.
Yeah, so Robert, Bloom Energy, they still getting companies to get their to use their fuel cells. I mean, we are coming up to a really interesting spot here.
Oh my!
Energy. Look at the daily chart going back to 2019. We're at this area where it typically finds resistance.
Oh yeah, guy. We set up a trade with Anne Marie last week on this name, didn't we? I don't remember it, but I could have sworn BE was one of those tickers on the list.
Well, it seems like it's doing pretty well. Looks like 30 is going to be support if it comes back in. But right now, resistance is going to be, looks like about 37 is one level. 37, 38, and then we've got, levels in the 40s as well, but not too many.
Blazed Rhino mentioning Telomere, TELO. This is one that recently popped and then dropped same day. Very disappointing trading action on Telomere. Looks like we're popping here again. Volume is a little bit light.
Looks like it's getting some footing around $2. That's been the low for some since we popped back up here earlier this month. It's been getting support from $2. So let's see if it can come back up and take out the highs. As a matter of fact, don't we have got a bit of a trend line here going on here with the TELO? Let's take that out. I like that. Let's take out the trend line.
All right, is this the trend line from July 24th?
This trend line goes all the way back to September 20th last year.
Oh, no. Okay. September 20th of last year. Here it is. I'm going to delete this near-term one. Clean that up a little bit.
Okay, so Robert's looking for a $37 call. Is perfect. Hope that works out for you, man. I think you're going to be doing just fine. Looks like you're already doing really good, especially today. And what else do we have going on here? Nope. Still trying to get TYGO to recapture that 200. And these movers. Not great movement today. VKTX looks like it may break out inverse head and shoulders here soon. Smooth selling up to 36. Let's take a look. I see what you're saying about the inverse head and shoulders. So we're looking for kind of a break of 36 might be what could happen here, but we still have that 200-day SMA in the way at just under 37. And then you have the 500 right above that, right beneath 40. I could see how this could continue to move up, but it's looking like you're going to have maybe some consolidation or some bouncing around as it tries to make its way back up through these moving averages. But I don't disagree that this looks like it's coming back up and you potentially have an inverse head and shoulders here. I'm just a little bit curious if we're going to see that movement through those moving averages. And if you look to the left, there's some pretty good consolidation right in that area from February of last year.
For those, whoever was asking about DEC here earlier, what's wrong with it? Looks like we're just kind of coming back in from that earnings beat that it had. Got a lot of price target adjustments. This looks like just kind of a corrective move here. I don't see any other news or direct catalyst that would be driving it back down. Just looks like maybe profit taking and a break from earnings. Here was that earnings. We basically round tripped this almost.
Oh, that's a good point, Jay. He's mentioning that it has high short interest and it's got, well, it does have high days to cover. My read here is 30.5%, 7.86 days to cover in BKTX. So see if it can blast through those resistance areas. Maybe those where the shorts are hiding out at. Backwards compatible quantum fix found, but not for Bitcoin and Ethereum. And Smoke Tuna is mentioning COCP. I feel like we've traded that one pretty frequently. Co Crystal Pharma, maybe not. But this one's also got a high short interest, it looks like. No, I'm sorry, it's wrong. The key data was giving me the wrong information. But let's see here. It looks like this doesn't have any news, but they had some announcement back earlier this month. What's the thought here with COCP?
No, that's SUI research. That has nothing to do with the coin, right, Jonathan? The SUI coin. That's something totally different, right? Sorry, I was just catching your comment there, and that was the first thing that popped into my head.
This is mentioning Archon. And seems like it's going to be just another slow day until later when things start moving. Because we got that kind of price action later on in the day. Things moved a lot better yesterday, it seemed, than it did in the morning. Maybe we get that today. Bitcoin is alive. COCP, 90% tuna signal, and charts look nice. Let me look at a bigger time frame here.
That's for COCP, right? Mm-hmm. This is making a series of higher lows off of this bottom.
Well, let's get a recapture of that 200 and the 500. It seems like the resistance doesn't really kick in. Like the really big resistance doesn't kick in until about 3 to 325. But on the way up, you've got potentially levels at 2, 210, 230, 250. Plenty of levels on the way up, but a lot of the big resistance is coming in around 3 to 325.
Folks, let me tell you something. That Pan W trade continuing here, 182.94. Pan W, winner, chicken dinner on Pan W. Great entry there from the group. Glad we talked about that. Also, talking to one of my buddies here, I want to follow up with them some more. But as I was kind of mentioning earlier there, cybersecurity companies with less than 100 billion in revenue should be acquisition targets. And indeed, one of the other ones that I liked on this rubric here, 278 million in revenue. I guess that's quarterly revenue. So that's just under $1 billion there. Annual. This might make a potential takeout target too. Rubric. This is up 4%. I don't think this had any company specific news. I think this is up in sympathy. Oh, you know what? They had a 13G last night. I think this is up 9.2% stake taken here. I think this is I think this might be a potential acquisition target. RBRK. I don't have a time frame. This is just a gut feeling. Actually might make a move towards 100 here too. I'd watch that $100 magnet.
More news coming across headlines about the Indian government responding to Trump, and it looks like it's giving the market a little bit of a lift.
See if I can find those here for you. India announces review of the UF tariff decision made by Trump. Besant said, quote, Chinese economic model is starting to implode. Hat tip to 13, who was way earlier than Besant on that.
Talking about that for years.
Yeah,
ever since COVID, really. They've never recovered. BGLC, this is starting to come off at 65 EMA. Still not liking the volume, but it's making moves in the direction we prefer. SBET moving up, and RBRK. What is RBRK?
RBRK is the cybersecurity company Rubric, gotcha. And all I was saying here, I'm just kind of thinking the Pan W move here this morning and where else we could go. Basically where the puck's going type of thought. I think this could be an acquisition target. I really do. I have nothing other than a gut feeling, so don't buy it on that. But I do have a gut feeling that this could be an acquisition target. Rat Session here also bringing up a really good point. The bull flag breaking to the upside here on Rubric.
Oh yeah, I like that. Now, here's another one that reports tomorrow after the market closes, Cloudflare, NET. This is kind of interesting because we're coming up to the all-time highs, which we're about $20 away from.
Sorry, 13. I wasn't laughing at you. You're great. But Captain Cloudy here, that's what, 6 points on those calls there, Pan W? That was a good trade. Sorry, 13. I
Nice.
did not mean to laugh at you there.
I don't think you were laughing at me. I was laughing at the response. But NET, that could be one to watch. If we're looking at cybersecurity, they haven't reported yet. They're almost at their all-time highs. Still getting support from some support from the 200. Looks like, I mean, just throwing that out there. You tell me what you think about it. I think he's in the middle of something.
Oh, was that for me? Sorry. What was the question again? I'll do it here real quick before we go to story trading.
Just pulling. This was looking at NET. We're almost at the all-time highs here, and they report tomorrow. Also, V-Wave with the nasty pull halted to the downside. Take care, Kevin. Looks like the whole market is getting a pull now. I think it might be on that news that EKS posted about 25% tariff. All of a sudden, we're just getting a big pull. I don't see that news.
Take care of yourself, Kev.
Oh no, I see it now. Oh, that was earlier this morning, so I don't think it was off of that then. Something else is pulling the market down.
Tesla is at the lows. Looks like something pulled Tesla down here.
Yeah, something's giving the market a little bit of a pull here. But you know what? Let's let story trading tell us what that is, because my time's up. I got to split.
All right. Well, they're not here yet. So
okay, well, then I'll hang around.
Oh, okay, good. I'm checking. I'm going to have them confirm.
Okay. Just looking around and see if I can find anything here going with Tesla. Turkey's Uber joins strategy Tesla as Bitcoin treasury company. Turkey's Uber. Is that Marshall or Marty? What is this? Is it an I or an L? I can't tell. Anybody see what we're looking at here about? So basically, here's what this says: Turkey's leading ride-hailing program has committed 20% of its cash reserves to crypto assets, starting with Bitcoin. The CEO announced on Wednesday. The move positions, I guess we'll call it Martel, among a growing list of global companies incorporating digital assets in their treasury management strategies. Don't see anything about Tesla in this, except that they also purchased $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin back in 2021.
All right. I see. Look at this story trading guy. This is how good they are. We screwed up. Mea culpa time. Our team screwed up and did not deliver the link to the story trading guys. But guess what? They joined anyway because they're bosses. We'll get them on here in a sec, having that taken care of right now.
Sounds good. And
sorry, Rhett. Love you.
Any thoughts on the Figma IPO?
Tomorrow is the Figma IPO. So here's the thing. I kind of want to see the trading action on it. I suspect that because this one is going to be one of the more followed ones, that you might actually see some crazy antics early on. Unsure if I'll play that. I'll have to have a pretty good feeling for it. But the other thing that I'm going to watch here, the 30-day window, right? I'm going to try and trade that right at day 29. So when the 30-day quiet period expires, I'm hoping we get coverage on that. Maybe we get a comment out of the company. So I would say if this, let's make sure that this IPOs tomorrow. Mark your calendar 30 days from the 31st. And then I might try and trade that quiet period expiration. Unsure if I'm going to play it intraday. I'd like to, but we'll see. Oh, Jay, you want all of the smoke. Jay wants all of the smoke. You got to be kidding me.
I'm not sure he's got good genes.
Take that. Take that. Okay.
It's so funny to me how people get riled up about that stuff.
Yeah, I wasn't going to comment on it. By the way, I guess you know what we'll do? We'll take a quick peek at the stock price. It's down here today.
REPL trying to make its way back up to 725. A lot of sellers in the way going to there. Sorry,
okay. 13, we got the story trading folks here. Again, my apologies to the story trading team. We don't try to short them, and they have been absolutely in fuego recently. 13, we'll see you later, all right? Any closing words for the group?
Yeah, hit like everybody. Enjoy story trading. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Love it. Look how professional he is getting out of here real quick. 13, awesome stuff. We will be back tomorrow. That leaves room for Ben and Rhett. Guys, like I said, I'm sorry.
That's all right. All right. Cool. We got some good stuff to go over. I'm working from home today, so I'm going to ask Rhett to share his screen. And Ryan, we're going to jump right into it. I know there's FOMC today, but there's some like crazy calls we made in our morning note. In fact, Rhett, can you share the morning note trade ideas? Let's just go through those top 5-6 ideas because that's crazy.
And I'll get out of your hair. I'll be back at the end here.
All right, cool. All right. So look at these trade ideas. You can see actually AMD has been the #1 pick 3 out of the last 4 morning notes. AMD was #1 pick. On one day, it was the #2 pick, but I think during the morning show, we elevated to #1. So AMD's been the #1 pick for like 4 straight days in a row. Today, again, it was the #1 pick after cash. We made cash the #1 pick because of FOMC today. But look at that on here. Read what it says, Rhett, AMD, especially regarding the support level. And then go ahead.
Sounds good. Sorry, I was texting the Godfather to get him in. Yeah, so it says AMD 187 next swing target, 174 support, 200 to 227 long-term swing target.
Good enough. 174 support, 187 swing target. 5th day in a row, it's a #1 or #2 pick. Now pull up the chart for AMD today.
Awesome. Let's pull it up. Give me 1 sec. There we go.
Rhett, tell us what happened today. What you did, AMD.
Yeah. So today, as you guys see, I had
what was the low? What was the low, Rhett?
It was 173.81. So almost.
What did you just read there? What did you just read?
Almost 174 support.
All right. 5th day in a row. AMD #1 or #2 top pick. 174 support, and you took that trade, Rhett, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I sold way too early though. I sold for I think it was like 19 or 21%, and that's like over 50% now. So,
well, AMD's my biggest position right now in my account. Let's go back to that morning note. These calls were sick to the T. Let's go check it out. #2 pick of the day after the cash. The #3 pick of the day. Fubo dips can be bought. Buy zone, and then here we go. Sell zone 380 to 420. We said 420 possible today. These are day trading ideas, targets for the day. Check out what Fubo did. Pull up the chart on Fubo. Sorry, guys, I'm working on a laptop from home. I only have 1 screen, so I can't share with you because
I'm running on like 3 different monitors right now.
All right, 423. There it is. Fubo made a move to 423 today after significant news yesterday. It popped in the morning, gave it all up, but on a day 2 move, because we realized the significance of yesterday's catalyst, predicted it will be in play today with that 420 target, and we got it. It even exceeded the 420 target, and I gave some higher targets possible as a swing for our community. Let's go back to that morning note and see what our next pick of the day was. This is just crazy, guys. ASTS looks poised to rebound. I can't read it. What's it say?
Cool. Let me go back. So it says ASTS looks poised to rebound off the 20 DMA after last night's PR. 51.05 support, 54.05 resistance, 55.50
target. Let's go look at that chart today. ASTS. This is today's targets. Top pick given to you at 6 in the morning. Did it reach 55.50?
Boom.
There you go. What was the low of the day anyway? 53?
Today's low was, let's see.
So it didn't get quite
53.23.
All right, this is crazy. These picks are freaking crazy. And let's go back to the morning low. Let's check the next.
We're not done yet, guys.
No, it's crazy. All right, air. We're gonna skip over air. It didn't quite work yet. We gave you some FDA trade ideas, which I didn't take at all, but I'm not sure how they did IBB, Capper, SRPT. But look at #7, BMNR. What was the target for the day on BMNR?
35.
35. Let's check out the BMNR chart right now. This one I did trade a few times today. There you go. Hit
Exceeded
36, just broke 35. All right. These were some killer predictions given. I usually send this out at like 5:30 in the morning. Today I was a little bit late. It came out at 6:30 in the morning because my alarm didn't ring for some reason. And now let's go back to the morning though one more time because there's a trade idea in there. I mean, if all of these are working, which one hasn't worked? First of all, you see PBI TMDX reports tonight along with the big ones. Actually, it's in the morning note if you scroll up. But hold on. Okay, you're doing it. So Hood, Meta, Microsoft. I own Hood and Microsoft my long term. I'm not trading them into ER, but I'm holding them long term. PBI TMDX. I am taking trade positions into the ER tonight. So that's a number 8 pick. We'll see later if those work out. You got to watch your allocations if you're doing ER bets, though. Okay, I did put PBI. Could be headed to 17 on a good report. TMDX could be headed to 100 on a good report, but there's one stock in this entire list which hasn't really worked out yet. TMDX, by the way, is seeing an ER anticipation run today. I am overweight TMDX, expecting to sell into the afternoon pop ahead of ER.
Give me 1 sec. I'm sending this link to The Godfather. You still didn't get it.
Okay. How do you get these picks ahead of time? Well, you got to be a member of our Discord, someone's saying. So we put these out early in the morning. Like I said, 5:30, 6:30 in the morning. So I guess scan that QR code or just go to storytrading.com. You can sign up for a Discord. Now, what's the only idea, Rhett? The only idea on that entire list, which hasn't really worked out today yet.
I believe it's air.
It's air. Let's go look at the air chart. All right. I don't know, man. When I'm this much on fire, I feel like all my picks should work. Like 6 out of 7 are working. Let's get that 7th one to work. So I decided to add some air here. I don't know the way that the market's going. I put in the commentary. On there. Hold on air. Yep. I specifically referenced Powell and the FOMC. The way the market's trading, I think it already knows what it wants to do this afternoon. And really everyone already knows what it's going to say. I mean, the only way I think you get an extreme reaction out of the market is if Powell comes in the press or whatever, and he's like, all right, we're going to cut rates soon. He's not going to say that. I doubt it. And he's not going to say we're going to increase rates. It's going to be the same old, same old. And everyone knows it's going to be the same old, same old. And the way that the price action's going, I'm actually leaning towards a pop after FOMC. Again, unless it's one of those two extremes. And then, you'll know what happens, right? If he leans towards cuts, then we pop even bigger than otherwise. And if he gets more hawkish, then we can drop. But specifically on air, I said this FOMC is going to be really important. This is a risk asset, okay? Highly shorted stock. Recently had really, really good news. You can see this big gap here. And in the morning, though, I said, let's wait this out a little bit. Let's wait for 17 to 19, okay? Well, it's in the 19, it's in that range, but it's in the top of the buy zone. If you zoom into this candle on January 7th, you'll see there's a 1876, used to be resistance, now support. Okay, it closed at that level yesterday, at that 1876 support. It's a touch below it right now, okay? If the market has a negative reaction, and I put this in the morning note, then you're going to get to gap support here at the 20 DMA, which is also the gap from the other day before the news, which is like 1680. So 1680 is your target if the market reacts badly to FOMC. 1680 is your target, and man, that's a beautiful place to buy air. By the way, air, one of my biggest positions now, my retirement account. I think it's going to go into the 50s within the next few quarters. But there's a chance with the way I'm seeing the price action. I took a position here. I took a position because every single one of my other picks were bangers this morning. So it's like air's got to work out, right? I'm like, I can't be right on 5 of them, and the 6th one not work out. So I took a little position on air. It's risky. It's in the gap. But mind you, we're at that 1876 support as well. Yeah, we're a touch below it. But, sometimes it doesn't have to be to the penny. You can violate supports by a few pennies and still kind of look the same, especially when you zoom out of the chart. But that gap is concerning. So but this is your buy zone. It's anywhere from 17 to 19 bucks. We're closer to the top of the buy zone. If you want to wait and see the FOMC reaction, you could. Maybe you get it at 17. But just the fact that I've been so spot on with everything else today makes me feel like maybe I should take a chance on air. Now, these predictions have been freaking wild, especially the AMD call over the last 7 days. Personally, though, full disclosure, I've struggled. We were very transparent with our my daily return. Year to date, I'm up over 300%. But I did tag 400% and then just went to the shitter over the last 10 days, even though my predictions have been awesome. So I've been struggling a bit, and that's because I'm not executing on what I'm advising people. It's been about 10 days or so. I put a yellow alert out there. I've been advising people go to like 50% cash and focus more on day trading. In fact, I've explicitly said in the morning no allocations. I usually share my allocations every morning, but for the last 4 or 5 days, I haven't shared them because I said my allocations are not representative of what you should do, and I don't want to mislead you, and I don't want you to follow me. What I want you to do is to be 50% cash and focus on the top daily trade ideas. Unfortunately, I didn't listen to myself, and I've been absolutely hammered, guys. So I'm going through a tough time. I held a lot of swings in risk assets, and they've just been getting absolutely destroyed, okay? So unfortunately, you'll see if you track us on X, you'll see my year-to-date returns have been declining, probably heading closer to 300% instead of the 400% that I had. So there's a little disconnect there, but really what matters is the content we give you, that morning note we give you, those predictions which have been spot on wild. And, you've been taking some of those predictions. You've been, and taking some of the advice, and I'm sure you've been doing much better than me here the last several days.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, some of our other members too have been taking your advice and analysis to the T, and they joined 3 months ago, and they're up over 1,000%.
I saw
in 3
that.
months in their options account. So that's amazing.
I saw that post yesterday. That's crazy.
That's great.
But anyway, look, my point is, I know we have FOMC, but there's still the ability to get alpha each and every single day. We're not only identifying the alpha, but we're identifying the macro trends. We're identifying when the market's harder and when you should be in more cash. I mean, honestly, it's been perfect predictions over the past 7 or 8 days. Again, just kicking myself. I gotta repeat it because you're gonna say, Ben, what the heck are you talking about? Your returns are down, right? But that's what it is. I haven't listened to myself, all right? But those folks who have, absolutely killing it. Is the Godfather in the room yet?
Yep, the Godfather's here. Morning.
Welcome, Godfather. How you doing?
Pretty good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, well, I'm having a little hard time on the execution side right now, but man, some banger predictions. I don't know if you followed my AMD thesis. I know you were away for a few days, but
yeah, look, AMD has been literally the only thing keeping my account afloat the last few days. It's been, I think you mentioned it in the stream yesterday. It's been a sell everything, own AMD kind of market. For at least since I went away, essentially Thursday. And look, I think it's a non-event this afternoon for the FOMC, in my opinion. I've been in the one and done camp since the beginning of the year. I think we were at 62 or 63% chance of a September rate cut. It's all about whether that probability climbs or declines post this meeting. Look, I don't think the pace matters a great deal. I think you're going to see whatever catch up that's needed on lowering interest rates, shortly after the end of Powell's term. So it's going to come, whether it's the second quarter of 26 or if we get to before year end. I think that the September one is probably in question. So yeah, I'm not holding my breath. But look, what matters here is Meta, Microsoft, and Amazon. That's really what matters over the next couple of days. We saw this good number out of Google in terms of its capex, right? 70 billion, I should say. They're talking about in excess of 100 billion for 2026, which is a further 20%. You've got 64 to 72, I think, is the current range billions for Meta for their 25 guide. I would not be surprised to see them guide that higher, just like Google did. And if that happens, then you're going to see a further lift, right? And all of these hardware names. And I think that the place to be positioned is AMD on the heels of that. Microsoft, of course, the focus is all going to be
By the
on
way, the Google capex, just to correct your numbers, was not 70 billion. It was 85 billion, up from 75 billion prior. So it went from 75 billion to 85 billion. I just grabbed that from a morning note
Oh, yes. Okay.
from that morning. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just looking for it in my notes. I missed it now. Okay. Thank you for that. Yeah. So look, it's all about the trend in capex. And one of the things I'm looking at is a potential catch up of the software names in the second half of the year. I don't know if you remember, but last year in the second half of 24, we saw a big relative value catch up in some of these software names, and we're now at these sort of extreme levels again, where the RSI on software is like really, really low. It's extremely underbought relative to the semis. And, you've got some big events taking place here, right? When it comes to software, in terms of the AI leaders, at least, right? CRM is launching Agent Force. You got ServiceNow launching Now Assist and AI Control Tower. We're in the 94th percentile in terms of current exposure to semis. And we're in the 5th percentile, the 2nd percentile at 5-year lows when it comes to software. So that's an area that I'm going to be watching closely. We haven't seen it yet. I'll wait until we start to see money flows go there. But it was an event that took place last year, and these things have a tendency, just like the seasonals, to play out again. So one of the things I've got on watch. In the meantime, we're overbought in this market, right? 15 record highs this year for the S&P. The NDX, which was up 8 of the last 10 days, 17 of the last 18 Julys. We're now at around 30 times on an earnings for the NDX, it's NASDAQ 100. That's like 4 or 5% away from the sort of levels where it's ever struggled to get beyond. And these are kind of levels that we haven't seen since 2020, 2021. So, put that in with everything else that's indicating, we're kind of getting to the top here, seasonal wise. You're seeing some underperformance in the last couple of days under the hood. You're seeing some negative asymmetry around earnings, right? People that beat are going up, minimally. And on average, you're seeing 5% sell-offs on companies that are missing, or dramatically more. So all of this leads me to believe that we're right in holding this yellow, and I think we need to get through Meta, Microsoft, and Amazon before we reassess that.
Sorry, I'm just looking at the comments here, and Mohammed Ibrahim here has an interesting comment, because something I thought about this morning. Because how do you get this report if I'm a pro member? I guess if you're a Benzinga pro member. And can you believe what a coincidence? Just this morning, I was thinking, Benzinga folks in the back in the studio, I was thinking, you got to get our report somehow. We got to figure out a deal to get our morning note report, get it there, co-sponsored by Benzinga or whatever, and get it to your pro member, something like that, because this stuff is freaking fire. Someone else asking, how are you doing the analysis? This analysis is done through my 4-pillar approach of story trading, where I start with the catalyst and I interpret the impact of the catalyst on sentiment and fundamentals, and then I triangulate with technicals. That's the basis of story trading. And it's a little bit of an art. I've been doing this for like 20, 30 years. So it's my individual ideas based on those 4 pillars. And I get a lot of that information and the collaboration. We get help from the community. There's people collaborating. There's the Godfather Knows. There's now Dougie Fresh Picks is there too. So we're collaborating with everyone. It helps me get all the information and absorb all the information and put it into my 4-pillar process. And then I come up with those top trade picks of the day. Someone else asking, can you post the link for us, please? I don't know if Tara is asking that. So if someone can post the link how to join our Discord. But you know what? Maybe you don't need to join our Discord. We got to work with Benzinga folks and maybe make our morning note available to Benzinga Pro members. That'll be freaking wild. All right. Moving on. Godfather, that was a great take there on everything. I wonder if you have a bias of how you think the market's going to react this afternoon after FOMC into tomorrow. What are your thoughts on that?
again, it's going to go where the most loved big cap names take us, and what is going to be the reaction there. The positioning.
AMD looks like it wants to keep going higher. Honestly, like I'm
Yeah,
looking at
watching
this
this.
chart, and I'm like, I think when I see, I'm sorry to interrupt you, the Godfather
Yeah,
there, but the price action to me this morning feels like the program's already in place, and all the hedge funds and institutions know exactly what they're going to do at 2 p.m. Right? And then maybe there'll be adjustments in between the 2:30 and 3 p.m. presser, depending on what he says. But I think there's some buy programs in place, at least maybe for some of these big cap AI stocks. I don't know. That's what it looks like on the chart.
Yeah, look, positioning isn't great in the market. We're now sort of fully allocated. As I mentioned, net exposure to semis is at 5-year highs in the 94th percentile. So we really do need to see some strong numbers. I'm looking at the Google numbers that you mentioned. Yeah, sorry, I was confused. It was up 70% year over year at the CapEx, and then they raised their guide by 10 billion. If we get a further raise of guide by Meta, that's what we need for names like AMD. I think AMD stands out because from a positioning standpoint, it's not as overbought, and I think you're going to see money continue to rotate out of some of the other names. The Cloudflare is another one that we really need to watch on Thursday, right? As a second derivative AI trade and play. But look, we've had 30% of the S&P report already, 82% have beat, 65% of the names have beaten by a standard deviation of 1 or more. That's compared to 50% normally. So earnings have been great, and I'll reiterate that this is the trough here. The expectations are the lowest in this quarter that we see for the next 8 quarters, frankly. And we start to get into double digits in the first quarter of 2026. So again, I think the market stalls in here. You're seeing this, this basket of names that are heavily shorted, the retail spec names, the meme names, the non-profitable tech names. We're right back. If you look at the baskets that are tracked by Goldman and others, we're right back above the heady days of 2021. So I think you're going to see some of that rotation come back. And where does that money go to when those things stop outperforming the market? It goes back into these big names. And there's 2 other things that are really important for these big names in terms of performance in the second half of the year that I don't think are fully appreciated. One is the fact that we've now lifted these chip export restrictions, right? And semis already have about 2/3 of their sales internationally. So with the weakening US dollar, this is a tailwind to their earnings. And the One Big Beautiful Bill brought in a couple of things. It made permanent the 100% immediate expense of domestic R&D, and it allowed for eligible short life capex to be expensed immediately as well. These are the products, these are the chips, right? So you're talking about a potential free cash flow tailwind in the order of 12.5%. So combine these things with the demand environment, follow the money, go where the money's being spent. Real personal consumption stagnated now for 6 months, right? So we're not seeing it in the consumer names. The only people spending money right now are the hyperscalers and the big cap tech names. So why wouldn't you be positioned in the beneficiaries of that? I know
I want to mention. Sorry, it's just I just want to get something. Oh, it's already 11:27. Shoot. Okay, so we got to close with it. I want to mention something here also in terms of price action, and we've been noticing this change of character for a while. That there's a sell the news program on catalysts on risk assets. Okay, even like mid caps as well, not just the smaller caps, but that program has been ongoing. But I want to note something very interesting. Look at WGS yesterday. Sell the news on really great earnings. Look at Fubo yesterday. Sell the news on maybe an inflection catalyst. Look at LNG 2 days ago. Sell the news on that really important Euro US trade deal. But then look what happened the next day. All of them huge open green candles. So I want to just make that observation out there that there is this program in place by larger hedge funds, whoever it is, that they're just reflexively, no matter what the news is, they're selling the news, but it's not necessarily lasting, Godfather. It's not necessarily lasting. The next day, all of these are doing what you thought they should have done on the first day, which is that a hint? Does that tell you something? You know, maybe there's maybe they don't have the power to totally derail this rally. I don't know. It's something to consider. I see a bunch of comments here. Like, how do you follow us? Rhett, can you answer all these questions? How do you follow us? How do you get the Discord?
Yeah, so you can join our handles. So S Mantle for if you want to join through the Godfather Knows. Just click his link in his bio, or you can go to the story.
At Story Trading is my handle.
At Story Trading is for our X account, and you can join by going to storytrading.com/discord. And then there's also a question too that we missed, was asking about VYRN. I think it was
VYNE? No.
Yeah, VYNE.
Yeah.
Did you cut it or?
Yeah,
That's what the question was.
Bad news today.
Yeah, I have not cut it loose yet. I was hoping to get some bounce off of this, short position. But look, I was really taken aback by the results today. They were poor across the board, which is really surprising to me, given the efficacy that we saw out of the phase 1B. They are basically left with no programs in place, which means the CapEx is going to go essentially to zero. There's 50 million in cash, which is like $3 a share.
Wait, can they just close up shop and give us $3 a share? Oh, I sold already, so it doesn't work for me, but it might work for you.
Yeah, no, that's kind of where we're at. So today the market isn't caring about that. I'm just letting it sit. I'm hoping to see a bounce. Obviously, I don't see a lot of downside from here, but yeah, big disappointment. In
Ryan, how you doing? We got to get that morning note to your pro subscribers somehow.
Let's figure out how we can do that. Do that.
I don't know if you've ever seen it, but we'll send you a couple copies of our PDFs. It's really good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I'd be happy to do that. We actually just added our own morning report in Pro, so I'd love to see what you guys did there. Really good stuff here today, though, folks. Once again, sorry that we were a few minutes late, but glad you were able to make it. Thanks, Rhett, for being in the chat and reminding us. Really awesome stuff.
Yeah,
we'll see you next week.
Take care. Thanks, Ryan.
All right. That is Story Trading, folks. And for all of you that were asking questions earlier, you can always scan the QR code right there at the top, and you'll get their contact or their Discord in there, just like Gunny said in the chat. Folks, really good stuff here today. Enjoy the Fed. It should be fun. Hope to see you all in the webinar with Tim Melvin and Anne Marie tonight. Have a good Fed decision. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm sending you over to Futures Fever right now.